Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Captain with the Beard. Alex, how you doing?
Hello, everyone.
And to his across, I literally just told you I was going to mess up. Across from him, and on my left, the man whose hair stands up on end, Spider-Man himself. Garrett, how you doing?
Whoa, hey. Man, that's like, I went from
I was expecting
dead turkey to...
I was expecting more of the ragdoll himself, Iron Man.
he calls you the man with the beard. I have a
Which is
physical
ironic.
beard right now.
Oh, well. And I am Ball Thanos. How you doing? No hair? Up top?
Yeah. So
Do you think that's why he's mad? Like, no hair? He wants a Infinity Gauntlet to grow hair?
maybe they're trying to play off the storyline that, who did the run before Donny Cates?
Jeff Lemire.
Jeff Lemire.
I
Yeah.
mean, maybe the whole he's dying thing? Huh? Like he has cancer?
No, he just doesn't have hair. He's never had hair.
How do you know he's always wearing that helmet? Unless
he
He
he's
doesn't,
Jim
he doesn't have
Starlin.
hair in the Jeff Lemire run.
But he wears his helmet thingy, his gold gauntlet thingy, right?
No,
On
he
his face.
takes it off from time to time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Like
doesn't
Darth
sleep
Vader
in
takes
it.
off his helmet?
He
He
doesn't
was
sleep in
dying?
it. Yeah.
How's he alive then?
He probably ate the Infinity
He
Gems.
beat the shit out of his son Thane, who had the Phoenix Force. He wasn't actually sick; it was all in his head.
Donny Cates' run, the first issue was pretty good.
I liked it
I'm on it. I mean, I'm going to be on it.
with
now.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider?
Ghost Rider was in it?
Yeah.
How?
You get the book, and
Yeah.
then you can read
Spoilers,
it.
but
It was really, actually, was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
do you want
guys,
just to tell you?
I keep dropping books, and then you guys are like, this book's so good.
Do you want me just to tell you?
Yeah, do it.
spoilers. Thanos.
So
Donny
spoilers
Cates'
for
run.
Thanos 13. Ghost Rider shows up because
Johnny
of
Blaze?
future. I don't know if it's Johnny or not.
They don't.
If it has the giant...
He's driving a bike,
He's driving the motorcycle,
but they
no,
don't
that's
reference
Johnny
that it is
Blaze.
Johnny.
but he's now the herald of future Thanos.
Future Thanos is the new Galactus, basically, and Ghost Rider is his herald.
Awesome.
So he goes back into the past to get Thanos to bring him to the future Thanos King to do something. I'm not sure. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the whole story was, but Thanos should.
Don't they call him the final king?
Yeah,
The final king Thanos.
I tell you what, it felt like God's country or God country.
Yeah, it did. It was pretty good.
So.
And spoilers. But we are going to talk about, if you haven't watched it yet, we were going to talk about the Avengers trailer. That's why I called you guys Cap and Spider-Man.
Iron Spider.
How long is that trailer? 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, 2.5. It's not very long at all.
2.5 minutes. We get a lot in the trailer, a lot of good moments. I'm not sure if like plot-wise if anything's there. There's a lot of like nice eye candy, I would say. Nice like...
Subtle.
I feel like that's all I need to watch. Like I shouldn't watch anymore.
I don't want to watch anymore.
You know
I
what I
almost
mean?
thought that this showed a lot more than I was expecting.
Hey, this is not only is this a Disney movie, Marvel, it has Spider-Man in it. So you already know that half that movie's going to be leaked online before it even comes
Sony
out. Yeah,
doing
Sony's
their
going to be
promotion.
like, oh, you want us to do your marketing? Here's half the movie.
Do you think
for
they get to
free."
do anything?
I bet they get to do something. Or maybe Iron Spider because he's not Spider-Man.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe they get
So that is one aspect of the trailer I want to talk to you guys about, the new Iron Man spider suit. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
At first, I was no at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
But now I'm thumbs up.
I'm still.
It looks way better.
I'm still no. Like to me, the coloring is wrong.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that burgundy red with the gold outlines instead of.
They already got Iron Man.
I know, but it just. I don't know. It's not the spider suit I was expecting. Also, it just reminds me of the. I don't remember if it's all new, not all new day. What's the all
Brand
new,
New
all
Day.
different
Brand new day.
Spider-Man where he's got
One more day.
the. Shut up!
Those are two storylines.
I know,
you're
but
asking.
it's not the right one. It's
tech one.
Yeah, it's the tech suit where it's
Yeah.
In Civil War, he has that suit.
what?
The Iron Spider-Man suit.
No, I know in Civil War he does, but I'm saying in the comic book wise,
Yeah.
that all new, all different
Whatever.
took on. Yeah,
Techno
the tech
Parker,
one where it's
yeah.
always green in his chest bugs me.
Oh, I see what you mean. The new.
Yeah,
can't they
not
just do-
brand new day.
Why
Not,
couldn't they just do the one that's not Tony Stark? I just want to Why can't you just have a costume? Why does he need to be an AI?
The only thing that is ironic is in Spider-Man Homecoming, he's like, it's not the suit that makes the hero, it's the hero inside the suit. And he's like, by the way, I got you a new suit. You know what I mean?
And he's like, oh, I'm not going to use it. Oh, okay, I'm going to use it.
when already his new suit was pretty kick ass.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know what that suit brings different than the other suit, but I guess we'll see.
My-
Maybe some projection.
Creatively, why do you think that they decided to go with the Jim Starlin take on Thanos when they've been like promoting him as like the Thanos that we know, like that he wears his normal costume? Like, I just don't get that choice.
Well, we
Without
were
the helmet, you mean?
we were talking
Normal?
that he just shows up in a wife beater to beat the shit out of
Tank top?
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes redneck style.
So like any preview we've seen has
Yeah.
always been him in
Well,
his
he's always in
full
his
armor.
full armor.
So maybe the next movie he puts his armor on or something.
But that was the only thing that confused me. If you're going into battle, you don't take your armor off. You put it on.
But maybe he's overestimating or underestimating everybody.
He goes, okay.
I can kick the shit out of you guys anytime I want.
He came to Earth, wanted to get some Dunkin' Donuts first, and then they became aggressive.
Yeah, I'll say Spider-Man's like, hey, you're attacking that donut place. Stop it.
There is a lot of Infinity, Jonathan Hickman's Infinity in this story, I've noticed. The Thor parts of it, there's a couple things where I'm like, oh, that seems like the Thor storyline from there. The Black Order that's going to be in this movie is from that arc. And the Wakanda part is from that arc, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh the two. Because you're right, they're doing Infinity Gauntlet. Obviously, they tweeted out a picture a long, long time ago
Yeah.
that they were using it for source material, but a lot of things they've announced have been from Jonathan Hickman's Infinity. And Jonathan Hickman tweeted today, spoilers for that series if you haven't read it. He said, what did he say? It's something to the aspect of, good job, Marvel, but I won't be excited until I see Thor throw his hammer around the sun, which is what happens in that book. He throws it up, and it goes all around the sun to get, force around and then it comes down and it kills somebody. I won't say who, but
I say, to be fair, I now own that whole run of Hickman.
Oh, you do?
Avengers, New Avengers, and Infinity. That I'm going to read. It's just going to be my whole big thing of read it all in one sit, not one
if
sitting.
you're excited for this movie and you have the dedication and time to run through that whole run, that is the best Avengers run in the last 5 years.
So I figured instead of even me reading Infinity Gauntlet, which eventually I do want to read, this is going to be my build to Infinity War.
I heard they announced they're going to do another Infinity too. Didn't you post an article to that about us?
What? No,
They're going to do Infinity 2. I think I saw that
seriously?
online.
Well, originally they were going to do 2 movies, part 1 and part 2.
No, I meant in the comics.
Book-wise.
Oh, yeah. Are they?
Yeah, because Logan has one of the stones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's their
spoilers,
next
the legacy
event thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because
no events?
any event's good with a 2 next to it.
Hey,
Where's he at? Where is Logan right now? Have we seen him at all?
He's just driving that beer truck everywhere.
Oh,
he's
that's right.
making up for lost time. He's going to go that beer. Then he'll show up.
He's not even delivering beer. He's actually collecting beer from other places.
He's showing up at houses being like, hey, I've been dead for 5 years? 4 years?
It's been I think, three or four.
I need your beer. They're like, what? Just come on. What else from that trailer? Cap as a beard, looking like Nomad instead of Cap. My favorite part of that, 2 things about that trailer that I love. The line from Black Panther, somebody get this man a shield. Yeah, as a Cap guy, I'm just like, that makes me
Giddy.
inside. And I'm excited that we've moved past Danny Elfman and back to Alvin Silvestri for that score.
I know that he's
That
back.
score is so good from Avengers 1 and from Captain America First Avengers that when they were like, Age of Ultron, we're doing Danny Elfman, I was like, why? The guy obviously knows how to make a theme.
Yeah.
And that theme is iconic now for those characters. So when that trailer starts with that theme and ends with that theme, both of them chills on my spine.
Yeah, it gave me goosebumps. I mean, that's the Avengers theme.
Do you even know what we're talking about? Or you guy doesn't really listen
You know,
to
the weird thing
themes?
is when we go to movies, you guys are listening for the score. I'm all for
We're
everything
not
I'm watching.
listening to it just fills our brain with happiness.
I'm too tactical. I'm watching fight scenes and getting all excited for that.
What about during the title sequence? Right away.
I'll admit at the end of this one though, I do hear the Avengers theme. It's that is a good way to end that.
Yeah.
It's a good theme.
Trailer.
Makes me want to watch the first movie.
It does. It actually did. It made me want to revisit the movies. At least those 2.
Watching that trailer made me sad that I don't get an Avengers book.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it. I was like, but the book that's coming out now, I know if I picked it up, I won't enjoy.
Yep.
I know
Right.
I've tried 3 times picking it up and
You
I
got to
drop
wait
it.
3 years till the Avengers team's back, the class.
Nothing against Mark Waid. I love Mark Waid.
No,
I
it's
just
the
don't think that he's
team.
good on that. Yeah, I just don't think that book is in a good place right now. And
Yeah.
maybe it is for some people, but it isn't for me.
But the nice thing that is different, and I haven't read New Avengers by any means, but I do know that it's got the Illuminati, correct? So you've got the smart Avengers on their own team, and you've got the heavy hitters on the other team.
The sad thing is you can't really do that storyline in the movies. Because
I get that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that's the sad thing about it. You can't have they don't have Namor, which is a huge part of that storyline. And
It's fantastic.
there's no Mr. Fantastic. There's no Xavier's dead at that point, I believe.
Beast can't be in it.
No Beast. There's no who else?
Black Bolt.
Black Bolt.
thinking just
He's
from the
there.
Yeah,
Is that connected?
cares.
I'm wondering when they're gonna bring those people in. By the way, I saw Inhumans is all on Hulu if you want to watch it. I don't, but
Isn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That's what I heard is the rumor is that show this season, they're going to be in space, is going to be right before Infinity War takes place.
They also do little ties with the movies.
Yeah.
It's not like full in where it...
I need to catch up on that show. I stopped at season
I'm going to
3.
try to watch it again this season.
Yeah.
I'll see. I heard it's gotten good, at least fun. And the part that I didn't like before is it took itself too seriously.
Right.
So if it's going to be fun comic book stuff, then I'm good. Which is what made me think. I was sitting here, this Avengers trailer, and I'm trying to think like what makes this successful. If you saw my Twitter, I tweeted out, congratulations to Marvel Studios. Like, even if you don't like those movies, to have an idea and execute over 10 years and to be like, look at all those movies that came out. Look at it. If you watch that trailer, look at it, you see everybody on the screen, and you're like, it's just an achievement. And people now see that and be like, we need to do that. Everybody. They try to do it with Universal Monsters to do their own universe. They're trying to do it with DC, do their own universe. Everybody's new thing is let's make it a universe. So and to be able to on Iron Man be like, let's do something bigger than just this movie. And then it's not going to pay off for 10 years. That's a long time to tell
That's a long dedication.
That's a long time for somebody to go to that movie and be like, hey, you're not going to this is not going to pay off for 10 years. And even if this is a 2-parter, maybe it's not going to pay off for 11 years. You know what I mean? So when I saw that trailer, I was just like, even if you're not excited for that movie, if you don't like these Marvel movies, you have to give it up to Marvel Studios for Kevin Feige and everybody involved to be like, hey, let's set up movies over time. We have different phases, and they're all going to lead to this battle with Thanos. Like, that is just amazing. That's why I watched the trailer and being like, I was just blown away by that aspect of it.
I think Garrett told me that I've got nothing to be worried about. This movie probably will kick ass.
Oh, yeah.
But my concern is this is 10 years building up to it.
It is hype.
There's a lot of hype. There's a lot I expect from this movie. And in all honesty, it sounds horrible. I expect people to be dying. I expect heroes
It has to happen, right?
It has.
You can't have 10 years of buildup and then the Avengers get out without anybody losing their life.
Because the only loss they've had, other than Coulson, who's obviously not dead in the last, 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not dead.
No, I mean, I know he's not dead. I'm just saying that
He's alive.
He was the only hit that they lost in Avengers 1. Quicksilver they lost, and he wasn't even, to me, he wasn't an Avenger.
He died in the same movies. Yeah, we really.
So it's like, he was a character, and he wasn't part of the team.
Yeah.
But you're going to, I mean, Spider-Man, at least the trailer, you see him getting pinned down, I think, by Thanos. When you're watching all the...
Tony's so dead.
Oh, I said Tony became a rag doll and got punched in the face.
I love
he is dead.
that they punch him and he goes down right away. Not even he goes through a wall or something like that, but he goes limp and goes down. And you're just like, that's how powerful Thanos is.
Was it? And right there, I hopefully that isn't the kill shot, but
No,
Tony's dead in this movie.
Yeah, he dies.
And Peter Parker is going to be learning some new stuff about himself.
I bet... Here's just the speculation. I bet you anything 3 people die. I bet Thor dies. I bet you anything Tony dies. And the third one I'm not sure about. But I think Thor dies just because we know Thor can come back. I'm not sure if they'll do it in the movies, but the way his storyline's been going and how in that trailer it looks like he's doing something that's causing him a lot of pain. He might sacrifice himself. I don't think he'll get killed, but I think he'll sacrifice himself for them to get help or do something. Iron Man, obviously, I think Thanos will kill him. You need to be able to do something to be holy shit, look how...
I think Iron Man is the staple of
Vision.
who has to die. Vision is obviously dead.
He'll die, but I bet he comes back. They'll figure out a way to bring him back.
Because I said when you watch all the other
2.
people run together, there's Hulk, there's Captain, Black Widow. The only one who's not there is Tony.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure you're dead by this point. And I even had speculation that Peter would die, but he's only had 1.5 movies.
They got a trilogy to do.
I know.
Yeah.
Sony has no money.
I'll bring Miles in for that second movie.
I'm excited for it, though.
Yeah.
That's not one where I'm maybe. I've been with some of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
That's one I'm pumped for it.
This is
only part 1 of 2, though.
This is a movie that I know the 4 of us will go to the night it comes out. And that's already been planned out.
So this is the first part, and then next May's second part?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sick.
And what is in between? Captain Marvel?
Think so.
I think Captain Marvel's in between.
Wasp.
Ant-Man is, yes, that too.
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Is it?
Ant-Man and the Wasp,
I think so.
yeah.
I think there's 3 next year, right? I don't know. Look it up. I'll look it up.
What are you talking about? Black Panther, then Gauntlet?
Yeah, and then what's in between that and the next Avengers movie?
I was pretty sure it's Wasp and
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
I know that's done filming, so you're probably right.
And then
about that.
Marvel, I think Captain Marvel.
I think Captain Marvel is filming. So maybe that's after.
After Ant-Man, and then it's
So now I wish that this title would have been Infinity Gauntlet, though. The building
Infinity
up
War. Is this
is Infinity War. I wanted it to be Gauntlet, the building into him getting his hand, fully put together, and then the next one would be War. But they didn't ask my opinion.
Well, maybe the next name's going to be way better for some reason.
Infinity.
Probably Infinity War. Isn't it just part 1 and part 2?
No, they said they're not going to call it that.
Here we go. I have the schedule. Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and then still actually the end of next year, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So there's 3 coming out next year. And then we have Captain Marvel early next year, and then we have Untitled Avengers film, and then we have Spider-Man Homecoming sequel next year. 2019. And then after that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But
I hope that Spider-Man 2 movie is called Spider-Man Rush Week. He's in college.
already?
Cool.
They skip.
Well, you know what? He probably grew up pretty quick fighting Thanos, so.
We were talking about, send us your thoughts at Wednesday Comics on Twitter, on Facebook, facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast, or email WednesdayComics605@gmail.com. Or call our phone line, 605, what was it? God, I should have wrote it on there. 1849 is the end. 605-215-1849. I believe that's it.
Boom.
I'm going to make a sign that has our under the camera that says the number and then says, "You idiot."
Let's get into this week's comics. 5th week of November. Very short week. You know what? I thought it was short for me, but then it ended up picking up extra things, so wasn't as light as I thought. But here we go. I guess we should start from left to right over here. Moon Knight, number 189. Written by Max Bemis and art by Jackin Burrows? Is that his name?
I don't know how to look at it.
You look it up. Jackin Burrows and colors by Matt Lopez.
Sure that's not Jason?
No, I think it's Jackin.
Jackin.
Jacen? Jackin?
Could be
Yeah, I think
Jason.
so. It might be Jason.
Jackin Burrows.
Who else? Burrows
Either
and
way,
Bemis.
we're sorry we ruined your name then.
This is the second part of the Crazy Runs of the Family storyline, the new Marvel Legacy. That's why it's 189 and not number 2, but it is the second part of the storyline. This is something Alex was picking up.
Yep.
He mentioned on the forecast that it was good, so I said, fine, I'll check it out. Garrett said, fine, I'll check it out.
No, at first I was hesitant. I was like, I don't want to.
He walked over to me and he goes, it's not, number 1 isn't over here. I'm not going to get it. So, obviously, World's Greatest Detective walks over. Boop. Here it is.
Is that when you made the decision in the
Yes.
comic book shop?
Yeah, because, if you look at that art, and then I remember Alex saying the art on the cover's on the inside of that book. I previewed it, and I was like, Alex says it's really good. I know he says he's biased about everything, but, because you read the first issue too, didn't you?
No, I just got him this week.
today?
Yeah.
Oh. Somewhere I read something that it was really good as well, so I was like, well, I'll give it a chance. And I read it, and I was like, holy cow.
I tell you what, if nothing else, this cover on, 189?
Yeah.
Holy crap, that
That's
cover
amazing.
was awesome.
188 was a great intro book because Moon Knight's not even in it, which was awesome. I thought cool concept.
Talk about it a lot,
Wait.
but-
the main character isn't in the book and you liked it?
Shut up.
Everybody write this down in your journals or on your email. Send it, Twitter him.
This
do
is the only way
something.
you can make it work when basically the whole book's about that character,
Yeah.
even though they're not in it. What? Oh, sorry. I saw you shake your head.
He just looked at you.
Oh. It's weird having... that's where I usually sit. It's in there. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I know I'm losing it. What I thought was cool was when you got to go through all 3 different personalities throughout that fight scene. And I like that the first villain that he was fighting was not Ra. Is that his name? Ra? Amon Ra or something?
Oh, yeah.
The fire guy?
The god.
Right.
God.
Egyptian god Ra.
So I love that he's fighting different entities
Yeah.
before, leading up to fighting the big bad.
So in the first issue, we have the origin of the Sun King Ra. This psychiatrist is trying to help out this patient number 86. Is that what it was?
I believe it's 86, yes.
86 doesn't have a name. They don't know who he is, but he was involved in the military. There was a fire, and he's the only one who survived. He was talking about fire as he really loves fire and stuff like that. He likes the idea of rebirth through the fire. So she's thinking about Moon Knight. Moon Knight was a old patient of hers, Mark Spector, and she's thinking about being well, that helped him being the Moon Knight. So maybe it'll help him to find a god and attach to and like make this fantasy that he has kind of a little bit more real. So she introduces him to Ra and all this, like, because he gives him tons of books about the Egyptian god. And turns out he is Ra. Yeah. She awakened the beast and was like, "Oh, thank you for reminding me who I am." And then he burned down the whole fucking place. Yep. Burned her to a crisp. She's still alive, but she's like, "I believe now." And he takes off. He's going to go after Moon Knight, his arch nemesis, he thinks.
Well, his son, Ra's son, is Khonshu.
The way she talked about Moon Knight, he was like, well, he thinks he's better than me. I'm going to go after him and show him who's really more powerful. And then you're right. In this issue, we go after the truth.
Yep, the truth.
The truth can touch you and then make you start saying stuff that you believe to be true. Or actually, it makes it seem like horrible truths about yourself. And I mean, and there's a part even when Moon Knight comes up to these people, he's like, "You don't believe that, do you?" And they end up like he ends up making this conductor kill himself or run the train into a wall, basically.
Yep.
And everybody in the train he touched too, so everybody's like killing each other, and the police are trying to save everybody.
I actually got confused looking at that page where the cops were arresting these people. I thought, "Why are you doing that?" Oh, wait, that's
it's a great
right.
page.
Yeah.
And then you're right. He goes after the truth. And that scene actually is very, very cool, but also like very interesting because you see Mark Spector being like, "Oh, this part's not for me," and he switches his personality to what was the other personality name?
Jake Lockley.
Who in the past hasn't really been like super violent, but he's like, "Hey, there's some things I've been hiding about you." He's like more crazy. He's like the craziest part of Mark.
I like how he like puts his mask up a bit. You can see like his stubble, and he just beats the living hell out of like.
I like
everybody.
how I'm pretty sure. I think it's Grant. Maybe it's Stephen Grant. If not, it was Mark Spector going, "Lockley, don't kill him."
Oh yeah, and then
but there's still a little bit of reins being held, but you're the one who's got to fight this fight for us.
And the day he turns to Grant and he like makes money that way. He's like really, really smart about the financial stuff. And so he makes his company the most money they've ever made in their whole life, and he just donates his part of it. And the guy's like, "Don't you want any of your money?" He's like, "I think it's better to put it places where it doesn't belong and see everybody freak out about it." So he like donates it to this children fund to like give to underprivileged children. And I thought that was really interesting too. So like he's able to do all this stuff as Moon Knight because in the morning he is Grant, and the Grant can like basically become Bruce Wayne and like make all this money, and then at night he's like great. So these personalities help him along the way. Like when he needs them, he'll turn to them, which is I think a really interesting aspect. When Jeff Lemire's run was a little bit different. Like he couldn't control it really. He was like trying to figure out who he was, and then not in this run, he can switch it between when he needs to. And
I like the visual cue by Burroughs where you see like them like exiting stage left.
That's cool too.
That was sweet. That was a cool technique.
In Warren Ellis's run, each issue would be about a different personality, right? But did he mention that he could switch between them?
I don't see. Now, to be fair, it's been a while since I've read it. I don't remember there being a lot of switching.
There was, but it wasn't these personalities. He was Mr. Knight, remember?
Because every issue had its own title. Like there's Sleep, and there was this, and there was other thing. I honestly don't remember.
I'll have to go back and read that, but it's very. He says in the back matter too. I'm not sure if you guys read it. He says that to follow up those two runs is a very daunting task because both of those are considered very critically acclaimed runs, and they both do something different with this character. And this is the character that Bendis wanted to write. He was not writing this book to get to a bigger book. He said when he came to Marvel, he's like, "I want to write Moon Knight." And so now he's writing Moon Knight. Like that's his dream job, he said. So he's going to take it seriously and try to do something different with it. And I think so far, at least, this so far is like, it's like fun, but also there's like some interesting things about like what does mental health mean? Like how somebody's mentally unstable, but also like Alex, I know, was very interested in the gods part. There's like, that's really something you can dig into too. And they talk about on the back, like there's different things you can dig into. And that's what makes this character so interesting. And I think these guys understand that. And I'm excited to see where this goes. Like we're 2 issues in, and there's not even anything about these 2 issues that I'm like, oh, maybe it's not going to be good for me. Maybe I'll drop this. I'm like, I think I'm in.
I'm all in
until they I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, even if like they prove me these 2 issues, they at least know how to write this character and they know they have a plan for it. So I really like that a lot. I'm actually pretty excited that because actually when you see Alex asked me, "Do you want me to put in your box?" I got them, and I looked at them. And even thought for a second did you do it?
It was him.
Thanks,
even
I assumed you had one already.
No, I didn't have it.
So I just ignored it.
Oh yeah, you asked me that question. Or you did. What are you two? Anyways, when I got them out of my box, I looked at them. Even at that point too, I was like, I know they did save them, but like, I do really need these two. And that was part of the. I thought I had a light week, and then I saw those two, and I was like, I looked at the covers. And I was like, you know what? I wanted, like we talked about a couple weeks ago about Marvel Legacy. I kind of wanted to like give them a chances and see where we're going with this. And I think this is one of those that you can pick up these two, not knowing anything about Moon Knight. It explains enough about it, especially that first issue.
Absolutely.
That psychiatrist.
I think I actually liked the first issue more.
I did too.
I liked all the character building. I liked getting to know this
Second one's
character
definitely more action.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The first one is definitely a lot of characters.
And it was nice to get the payment of seeing Moon Knight.
Right.
But I was also like, God, you know what?
The setup
this
was
background was so
incredible.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, and the art's amazing. I mean, that's without being said. We talked about at the beginning a little bit, but even some of the panels and stuff like that, I was just like, I've never seen Jason Jacken, whatever his name is. What's his last name? Burroughs?
Burroughs.
I've never seen Burroughs' art before, but like, I'm like, where's this guy been? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this is one of my new favorite artists. It looks like slightly cartoony, but also like very.
But
artistic
it's
in a way.
gore. I mean, there's some gory stuff in this book.
Yeah.
I mean, that fight between the Truth and Moon Knight, I wasn't expecting there to be some eye gouging.
Is that guy dead at the end? I
don't think he's dead. I mean,
Can you get two boomerangs in the eye basically and live?
as long as they didn't pierce your brain, you're fine. I mean, you're blind.
You know, one more thing I got to say is Khonshu. I don't remember him being that funny in Jeff Lemire's run. I like how he was like, that happened, and he was like, whoops.
Well, but he's not. But like, I think Jeff Lemire chose to make him that way.
Yeah. What does he say?
I think he said, well,
The truth hurts. That's what he says.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, sometimes the truth hurts. And then he was like, oh, Mark. Because Mark's being cheesy about it. I thought that was fun, too. Like, I like when it's a book, like a character's not normally.
So Mark goes, well, what can I say? The truth hurts. Khonshu goes, oh, dear. And then Steve Grant goes, Mark, what? I'm not always grim and violent.
And truth is blind. So
that's pretty good for you.
If only we had a Daredevil book to transition.
This is a strong 9 for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I think the 188 was a 10 for me. 189 is a solid 9.
See, I'm on the fence because I really did enjoy the action, and I really did like that Moon Knight changed for who was in control. Because I mean, I was surprised that Lockley, that Jake didn't just take off his mask altogether and go, "This is what you're going to see when I fight you." But
definitely the 189 suffered a little bit because I read 188, 189 back to back. That was like, 188's better. But if I had the 2 weeks before, I bet you anything 189 would be 10. It's so close. Like, it's so great.
Oh, see, my thing is I did do I've read it not back to back, that I still go 188 was better. It does resign better with me than what this
I think it's like 188's creepy, but also intriguing. And also the art's amazing. And so like when I read it, it felt a lot like, and also it treats these people like they're real people that have, somehow have these power of the gods. And so it kind of reminded me a little bit of like the realness of Unbreakable, but also like a little bit like a Thor, like there's gods and stuff. So I really like the real aspect of 188. 189 was more superhero-ish, which, by the way, also I wanted to say, I hope this book never crosses over with anything else. I like that it's self-contained. I don't have to hear about Daredevil or anybody else. I know he exists in that kind of universe and they have teamed up in the past, but like, let it run for a while with any kind.
I think this has its own. Already, it's got plenty of gods from the Egyptian world to pull in that you don't need to be crisscrossing.
But I mean, like that subway scene where everybody was getting killed. Like, I'm glad that no other hero showed up. It was just Moon Knight, and he didn't even try to save anybody. He's just like, "Where's that bad guy at?" And he goes and finds him. He just kills him. And there's even people like suffering in the ground. He's like, well,
to be fair, at least, but he's not a nice enough guy. He's a smart enough guy to go. Why would I get drawn into that? The cops are already here.
He even says by chance he's called a superhero, but what he does really is just stop crime from the source. You know what I mean? So like he's stopping villains, but people could say, "Oh, he's a superhero," but he's not really trying to be a superhero.
He's just stopping bad guys. Yeah. So we got Lazarus X+66 number 5, written by Greg Rucka and Eric Troutman, and art by Bilquis Evely. And I gotta find the colors. I'm assuming
I think she has
done by her own.
Yeah, she has her own.
Garrett, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed this issue as much as I've liked all the other issues. This is cool. Marvin had talked about it on the forecast how it's kind of cool to see how it from the media perspective of what everything's going on and how crazily controlled like the families control the media because they don't want. I mean, to keep this new world order not necessarily at peace, but make sure there's not anarchists everywhere. This is the kind of media control and manipulation you need to put not fear. Well, a little bit of fear, but a little bit of restrictions on the world.
It's just control.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you control what people know, then you can control how they feel, how they react to stuff, what they know. And if they don't know something, there's no way they're going to be reacting to it because they're not going to know about it.
Right.
So, yeah, it is nice. Here, let me fix your thing.
I apologize. My throat is so dry right now that I'm trying not to.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys can still hear me.
Yeah, I can still hear you just fine.
It was like I went in deaf and then my voice stopped working. Huh?
You drinking coffee?
No, I'm drinking tea.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to drink something just to soothe. My throat isn't itchy. Sorry, no one cares. But I'm trying not to cough.
Well, I have a sinus infection, so I'm trying not to sniff in the mic. We're all sick here. It's
Welcome to the club, guys.
winter. Well, you're always sick. That's your power.
I'm say you're the Hulk. You're always sick. That's your secret.
I just except when I morph, I turn into a giant booger.
Emily's art in this book, fantastic. I knew that going in, but I do like how I think normally her art is a little bit more actually more like Moon Knight, cartoony in that way. But I think she kind of tried to tone it down, especially the colors, and it kind of really does look like Lark's art a little bit more, less looks more finished than Lark's art. Lark's to be a little rougher.
I almost let it look like Stuart Eminent's art.
A little bit, yeah.
Like a nice mix. It was a good looking book.
Yeah, it looked great.
I was telling Marvin that I thought it was a little different than I was expecting because I was thinking Sir Thomas was an assassin. He's not.
Right. And he's only in it for 4 pages.
Yeah.
But he's cool that he's that involved in the story. So we kind of get a roundabout about, you can see there on the cover, we got Jonah Carlyle, because you remember how he died. Spoilers.
From the coal.
Spoilers.
What happened the last days of.
Right. And it's kind of cool how she's investigating basically the cover up. Can I say spoilers if it's been 2 years basically?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the book.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that when Forever helped cover up the fact that Jonah's still alive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's like Rorschach's journal. It's like, oh crap.
Yeah,
she knows he's alive.
She finds that the suits have beacons in them, and so she asks the guy, "Was everybody accounted for? Was every suit accounted for?" She's like, "Yes." And so she's like, he's still alive."
Yeah, because that's the only thing that makes sense.
That's the only thing that makes sense. And so I do like, and we talked about before, these things have been good to know about certain characters that we might see later on. But this one does seem like definitely impacts the main story. We'll see more about this, about this report, about this investigation. And,
well, it's a direct effect to Carlisle family with brother not being dead.
Yeah, so we get that aspect. I also do like that we show when they went to Hawk's camp, that showing those people were on these drugs that kept them what's the word? Obedient. And she's making this story about hey, look at them. So it's kind of like a propaganda piece, but also it's real that Hawk did this thing to them. And she knows when she gets there, she knows I know this is what they want me to do, and even though it's exciting doing this kind of story, I really want to find something that really is investigative reporting to do. That Lazarus, what's his name?
Sir Thomas.
Sir Thomas?
Sir Thomas Gideon?
He talks about in here, which I found really interesting, that Sir Thomas is they always have the same name, the Lazarus, in his family. And when one dies, the knowledge of that person passes on to the next person.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that way the next person has an advantage and they can keep going. It's not that they die and then they're brand new again if they start over. No, it compounds. So he is the best Lazarus that they've ever had because of all that knowledge and all that experience. And I thought that was a great part of this book. There's even a moment in this book that I thought, okay, this is going to come up later. I bet anything that this happens later. They talk about this technology of inputting somebody's whole consciousness into a different body. And that's why you can live forever, why you can do that. And they're like, we're not able to do it right now, but we're working on it. I was like, oh, I bet you anything. Somebody knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And like, it's going to show up later. We're going to find somebody and be like, and they're going to be like, I'm actually this person. And maybe Jonah Carlo. And like, he'll show up as a different person.
So far, the only one that makes sense is Jonah to be the one who's...
It might be. Hey, that's pretty good too.
But he's still alive. So, I mean, what do you think? I guess maybe since he's a wanted man, you're right that he might want to switch over to another body.
Love this book so much. And it is because I love Lazarus, but also like on its own, each one of these issues has been great. I mean, we were so worried that this miniseries, like what, it's not even gonna be written by Rucka. Rucka's just going to write the story. Somebody else is going to write the script.
We thought it would be filler, basically.
We thought it would be filler.
Yeah.
It was just while we were waiting for Lazarus to start back, while Mark Lark is working on the art. But no, every issue is just like, man, this is so good, and it just makes you realize how great this whole world is. Like how much work Rucka put into this world, that you can have little stories in this world and still they're still great, and you don't have to have the main cast at all.
Well, the nice thing is that the other writers that he brought in have actually either followed what he wanted to be done or have just nailed it on their own.
I think Eric is the guy who's been writing them.
Oh, really?
Just one writer, and he is the editor for Lazarus.
Oh, okay. So he knows what the hell's going on.
He's a former, like, he's written stuff before, but he's also the editor of Lazarus, and he's the editor for Black Magick, I believe, and the designer of the book. No, he's just the designer of Black Magick. But that's how I knew, because I read the back of that, and it says who people are, and I saw Eric was in that book, and I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's why he knows about it. But still, even like, you have that world to live in that just makes me excited. I was like, okay, I do love Lazarus, and then when it comes back, I'm so into it.
Okay,
but I would hope there'd be like a second book. You know what I mean? Like Eric can do a second book where they just tell side stories all the time. I get both of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like Lazarus just X. Like, nice.
X plus.
Yeah.
Like it continues. Like this was not supposed to happen. Like this was just because Michael Lark needed time, so Greg had to think quick and be like, what can we do? And he thought, oh, let's do this. And to be this good of something they never planned, like I said, just shows how great a backbone of that story is, that they could be like, hey, we're going to do, how many, 7 issues? 6 issues. 6 issues of just people in this world. And for all of us to be like, yeah, we're interested in every single story. Because like you said, we thought we were going to be filler. Like, oh, this person, like, why do I care about this person? And we actually even thought that when we saw an issue, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be interested in this person. And every single issue where I was like, man, I really like this issue.
Every issue's been great. And every issue's got something else to draw us in.
That next one's going to be so good.
Oh, yeah.
That's honestly, to be fair, I am excited for 6.
The dragon?
Yes.
Oh, buddy.
When that cover, you saw the cover?
Yeah.
Where he's holding the severed head.
Right. And he's like
Holy
drinking
shit.
in the other hand.
Yeah.
It's going to be so good. And then in the back matter, he talks about there's going to be the first 2 issues of Lazarus when it comes back, called It's a Fracture prequel, right? And then also there's a new source book coming out first before those. And then he talks about how, by the way, those source books are great. Just, I know you said you haven't read them.
I have them, haven't read them.
Yeah, same.
They're great just to have every once in a while, just to look and read a page. And like read something new about that world.
Dude, if nothing else, I love those, just the cover in general. One, it's like a file on this family.
Yeah.
So there's Carlisle's the blue one. It looks like a file folder. And then you get the red one I think it's Hawk.
Yep.
Even if you page through it, though, it's not like it's like one page and it's mostly pictures and like little descriptions about them. No, it's full of text. Like Greg goes way into it, and he makes sure that everything is fully realized, and it's not just like, oh, this thing, people don't know what it is, but it's just a picture. No, he's like, no, here's all the history about it. Even the guns, there's in the first book that came out, he's like, here's how the guns work. And it's just like, why? Like, that is not needed. There's no way in these books that ever would be like, oh, how does that gun work? But Greg's like, I need to know how that gun works.
He's training to be a Green Lantern. You don't know how the mechanism works.
But I tell you what, that dedication is great. And I think that's one of those things that as readers, I love the book. I love Lazarus. And as a reader, I love what he's doing here. And he wants to give the readers what they deserve.
Yeah,
when this comes back, there's going to be some energy in that.
He's so into it too. Like if you read that back matter, he's so into this.
And he wants to be correct.
And he talks about how the Amazon project's coming along nicely. So that TV show that's coming out.
I'm so excited for that. I shouldn't be. My hype level is going up, but like I know sometimes adaptations aren't always.
You know what would be good about
that
this series? You know what would make it great if it happens is that it'll tell the main story, but like in the background you can see all this stuff being like, oh, I know what that is. Like that. Oh, that's cool. Like that person's in here too, and like, oh, they have all this. Like I said, build a world, and so that it feels fully realized and doesn't feel like it's just Forever's story. It's not just Forever's story, even though she's the main character. It's Forever in a world reacting to all these things that are happening, and everybody's a real character, a real person. It's not just they're there for the story and then they're gone. And then you're like, oh, what are they doing now? Like, it feels like when we're not reading this book, they're living in that world.
Yeah.
God, I love that book so much.
Yeah. I give this
really
issue
do.
a 9 for sure.
Yeah, I actually really love this one. It was a 10 for me.
This is a 9.
I like the politics part of Lazarus. It's really cool. And I like the back matter is really cool too about politics. I like Greg Rucka.
You.
I do. Twitter.
All right. Next.
Follow on my Twitter.
Next, we have Batman Annual number 2, written by Tom King with art by Lee Weeks, Michael Lark, and then there's inks split up between, or colors, yeah, same thing, whatever. Betty Brightweiser for pages 1 through 30, and June Chung from pages 31 to 30.
Does it say Betty in the book?
No, it says Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
I was just doing
Guys,
you.
we can't-
I was doing you some service. So we open up on basically
story?
the first meeting, sort of. One of the first meetings. I'm going to say plural.
It feels like it's
of
right
Batman and
after
Cat.
0 year, right?
What?
It's right after 0 year. So he talks about Riddler, like locking him up.
He does, but I don't know it necessarily means that it has to be 0 year right after that.
I just assumed it was one of those times that Riddler got out and he put
Yeah,
him
you
away.
said it's very early, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Way early on. I mean,
Old cat suit.
every time, yeah. So she has the original Catwoman suit. That's what she wore when she first was on that. And I know for a fact they met on that ship. I read the issue. It's issue 2. So, all right, it's issue 1 actually, because they used to do quarterly, so it was so many stories in one. Well, I mean, without just telling the whole plot, but basically, Catwoman is trying to find Batman / Bruce's weaknesses by exploiting them.
I was going to say, she already knows what they are. She's
Yeah.
just exploiting
Right.
his weaknesses.
She's just showing him how
Look what I can do.
Trying to make him stronger.
delusional he is. Yeah, that he thinks he can get away with this.
You put on that bat suit, you think you're strong, but inside you're weak. As Bruce Wayne, you're weak, or a weak person, she's saying. Like all these things you have from your past can break you, and I'm trying to make you stronger. And also, I think she uses it as an excuse just to see Bruce. Like
I
she
was
likes
saying,
him.
she just wants to flirt with that boy.
Yeah, that's her version of flirting. It's called Date Night, the fucking story. So, but also we learned towards the end, Batman could have stopped her all along. Like he went along with it. Like he liked
Right.
it.
See? Hashtag my Batman.
right.
First
This-
time, checked the mouse's shit.
This was so.
That was the best.
Can you imagine being that
Dedicated to doing
that
something.
dedicated, but also like you leave no detail behind? You're like, let's check that shit. Where's that mouse been? And Alfred's like, Alfred, check the shit. Like I'm gonna go get a tea. You check the shit real quick.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like, that's the, not pun, but like, what would you call it? Where every so often Catwoman would just come in and leave a mouse behind.
It was her calling card for.
Yeah,
a
it
while,
was her calling card being like, hey, cat, got your mouse, basically.
She was calling him a mouse. Like he's a
right.
small mouse inside it, or like a rat. What is a bat? But a rat with wings. And she was like, "You're just a mouse inside. You're weak, and look at I can catch you anytime I want to." And I really that first story is great on its own, but the way it kind of goes into that second
More
story,
Dude,
Oh,
I
dude.
read. I didn't even. I didn't even take a
heartstrings.
breath.
Oh, by the way-
I read through this thing and it.
before we move on to Last Rites, the second part of this story, in the first story, they run the Batmobile into Porky's, which tells me that Batman and Elmer Fudd, it's canon.
Yeah.
All of them are in there. Even Elmer Fudd, he has his gun in there. So that's canon. They exist in Gotham. Yeah, and then we go into Last Rites, which is them when they're really old. And Bruce learns that he has cancer. And
Well, you assume it's cancer.
yeah, well, they say that it's
Could be
grown.
Allsies, too.
Well, they said no, it's progressing, it's grown, it's something like that. I think it said grown.
The way I understood it was, it could have been either or depending on how you read it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the way Bruce is
He has some
forgetting
sort of
things.
deteriorating disease.
Because Bruce is forgetting things.
It just says, we have all the results now. I'm afraid, ... You
What's the
don't
next
see
page,
it.
Dave?
It goes to them walking.
Oh,
in the
they
park.
don't-
They
okay.
don't ever address it. So they don't want to tell you how Batman dies. You kidding?
You're right. But something is making him less than he was.
Right.
And so it's a story about Catwoman trying to make him comfortable in his last days. But also, like, you learn that they've been together for a while. He's not Batman anymore. His daughter, Helena, is now Batwoman, I guess. And he's given up that life to be with Catwoman. I mean, we've seen in Tom King stories a nice kind of possibility for a future, like where he does give it up. And he actually does stick to it. He doesn't want to be a hero anymore. And he just wants to be with Selena. And there's even that part. By the way, first off, very subtle storytelling in that last part that like made the whole thing great. Like I think if you were too blunt in that last part, it'd be like, okay, come on, you're trying to make this tearjerker. Yeah, Batman's
Right.
dying. But like very subtly, there's a part where they're walking after getting that results, and you just see Selena stop and kind of look down. Like Bruce is acting like nothing happened. He's still going out this day trying to argue how they met, and she just stops and she can't. She's like, I can't act like everything's okay. And then later on, when they're in bed, and she's like, "Can you turn off the light?" He's like, "I just want to lay here for a second more. I'll get it in a second." Like even that part, I was just like, now like he's in a point. Now he's in bed, like he's contemplating, be like, "I don't even want to lose this moment. Like let me just sit here for a second." And that part too, I was like, "Fuck, dude."
It was so good.
It is like it's very rare you see Bruce in a vulnerable spot like that, but like he's in a spot now where he's not Batman, so he can be that kind of person now, and it's very interesting to see Bruce Wayne the human and not Batman the superhero.
Right.
Like in that, like he's dying, but he's not even trying to fight. He's just like, okay, like let me make this happy ending.
Well, one part that I thought was really strong too is, he's trying to do his weightlifting routine and he like drops his weights because he's like, oh, I just can't do this anymore. He just feels the fatigue. And again, Catwoman's there for him. And I don't know who wants to, I can bring up the ending. Basically, the whole time, like
the first
Catwoman-
story ends with them kissing for the first time.
Right.
And then the last story, go ahead.
The last story ends with this whole time that, Catwoman was making Bruce the mouse. It turns out, Bruce left her a cat that says meow and it says, I love you. Like, what was the whole
from
message?
the first kiss to the last.
Right. Dude.
Because they kiss right before he dies.
That's tough.
Yeah, actually, want me to read it?
Yeah.
I love you too, Cat. From the first kiss to the last.
And actually, seeing him that aspect, I want to ask you guys this question. Like, now that they've been together for however long, for a long time, and they've grown old together, do you find, actually I did find, because before the Bat and Cat thing, I do agree is a little too much, but in this aspect, when they're both just people,
It makes it cute.
I was like, now it's like a
Right.
Pet name for each other.
sign of endearment. So like,
And I think there was one thing in here that kind of caught my eye that was total, not fan service, but probably the line where Batman's going. When Helena's talking on the roof with Catwoman, she says, I am your father's wife. So that kind of worries me about their relationship. And they're probably, obviously there's going to be struggles, but maybe something happens at some point where they...
Yeah, but Batman's gotten around plenty of times.
What?
Batman's gotten around long before he and Selena.
No, that's what I'm saying, but like it makes it seem like maybe they're gonna have a little problem down the line.
Oh.
And they'll have to recover from it.
the art in both stories were really great.
Yes. Oh, so good.
I love that ending. Their first kiss. I love that big page. And there's that double page spread where Bruce chased her up onto the roof, or she already on the roof. And he goes, "Why?" And they're just standing out in the rain, far away. It's like, oof, that's a good shot.
You know what? Actually, you might be right. It might be Alzheimer's, and he doesn't remember they're not together anymore. But she's like, I don't want him to die alone, so she goes and bees with him. So that's why she says, "I was," and she goes, "I am."
Right.
Because then she does call her mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, yeah, you should still be the child, even though your parents aren't together.
And and then it's one of the best one issues I've read all year.
Oh, so good.
It makes that whole Tom King storyline way better.
This is one of those things that you had said was so good, and I put it on the back burner going, this is going to be an 8. And I got through the first dates. I was like, well, that's pretty good. Got to the part that I knew was going to grip my heart, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I know. I had to be like, oh, but
This was a solid 10.
yep.
Yeah, it was a
10,
10.
absolutely.
This was my favorite issue this week, even though it was a strong week, so there's a lot of contenders. This issue for me, both stories on their own stood on their own, but the way they roll into each other builds on it. But also it builds on the whole run, like Tom King's run, and then also we have the thing coming up next, which also it's going to make that better. Like this, really, it's a potential future. We don't know for sure if that's going to happen. So whatever happens to Tom King's run, if he actually does happily leave being Batman and go with Catwoman, we'll see. I have a feeling though, like they showed us this, and then something tragic's going to happen, and then Bruce doesn't end up with her, and so that's going to be another thing, being like what could have been. Like this issue's going to be what could have been.
To me, this is what an annual should be.
It is.
There are some annuals I've read where it has either nothing to do with anything, or no offense to Scott Snyder, but sometimes his little plugs for his annuals, they were a lot to read, and it didn't pay off. Where this actually in itself was a great one shot. And like you said, it builds into what we've already been reading and what we're going to continue to read.
And I think you can like not read Tom King's Batman, and then you pick up this, and you can understand both stories are standalone.
Yeah.
So you can just read that and be like, this is great.
Yeah. Great story.
Loved it.
I am normally not one for Bruce and Catwoman to be together. Normally, I was always a Talia guy or just even a Wonder Woman. I tell you what, Tom King has nailed it where I actually love
I like
Slim
them
and Kyle.
together, yeah.
Yeah.
I really do think they are so good together.
You're right. Like when New 52 started and they were together, it felt like in that run, it was forced, but also it was like more being like, look how they're both really sexual. Like it made it more sexual relationship than anything. And in this one, it's like, no, we're both broken. We've both been orphans before. We both know how it is. So it makes sense that they're together. And like it's on that emotional level that they're together. And that's what that last story, why it hit so hard. It's like because they rely so much on each other and then he's gone. And even when he's gone, he's still thinking about somebody else. He thinks about her and says, and gives her a cat because he's wanted her to be alone. It's like the fucking guy is so good.
Yeah. So many layers of meaning in there. So
I think had I not read, was it 34 and 35 of Tom King's run, this would mean a little less.
I agree. I think that arc was so strong.
It does feel like
Reading
it
rules
builds.
of engagement, you know what? You saw how much Catwoman loves Bruce and how much Bruce wants to be with her. That's why he's going to do this thing, is to prove her innocence to everybody and to taunt to Talia or to fight Talia. I just, if I hadn't read those, this would not be as good.
It does definitely build.
So it does add to it.
To get the maximum impact of this, yes, read all that stuff. But like I'm saying, if anybody wants to jump in,
Do it.
like you can read that and be like, okay, let me go back and get that stuff.
Right.
So,
Great.
you, Marv.
Oh, you want to talk about the next? Or you want to talk about?
Well, I thought you put
you're
them in
right.
order.
Yeah, you're right. Because you guys should talk about your book, Batman: Creature of the Night, Book 1. This is Kurt Busiek, John Paul Leon. This is 4 parts.
Yep.
Right. First part of 4 parts. This is prestige format, so you got a nice little cover. It's a little longer, 48 pages, no ads. This is the spiritual successor for Secret Identity, one of our favorite books in the show. It is what child wouldn't want to be Batman after all, basically is the tagline for this. What do you guys think of the first issue of Batman Creature of the Night?
Was different than I was expecting, actually.
Yeah, same here.
I was expecting Bruce Wayne, right, to be the Batman.
Well,
When-
that's what I think Kurt Busiek was hoping everyone would feel, that like, oh, it's going to be exactly like Superman's Secret Identity. And it's similar. Like, I still feel like the next issue he's probably going to get older, but basically in Bruce's imagination, potential of reality, kind of like Kill or Be Killed, where we have the demon that might not or could be real.
Yeah.
I think it is realness.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Batman is real.
I just assumed this was Man Bat.
So there's a creature in this
Man-Bat.
it's Batman, that it is like a monster kind of Batman that is taking out these criminals, so what happens is at the beginning of the story, you have a child that is Bruce Wainwright, right?
Yes.
That has an uncle, Alton Frederick.
And
He calls him Alfred. He loves Batman, so he likes to imagine himself in that world. And they go somewhere. I forget where they went.
They were going trick-or-treating.
Trick-or-treating.
Went down an alleyway.
Go back late. They come back home. The doors open. They go in.
Go down an alleyway.
People are robbing them. They surprise them, and then his parents get killed. He gets shot, but he lives. He meets Detective Gordon Hoover, and he thinks, "Oh, you commissioner?" He goes, "No, I'm just a detective." And so,
Was he even a detective? Because he talks about that. He talks, I think he's an
just an
officer.
officer?
Because he's sitting on the paperwork's still sitting on his desk. And he goes, "Well, if we had progressed anywhere, it would have
you're
been
right.
at the detectives."
Yeah, it would have been at detectives.
Yeah.
He's just an officer, petty officer. Nope. But then you get this story about this child who loved Batman for so long, and then now he basically becomes just like Bruce Wayne. He gets shipped off to boarding school because his uncle, he's like, they wouldn't let you come with me anyways. My lifestyle does not allow me to have a kid. Like, I can't. And Bruce thinks that he's pushed him away on purpose. And so he grows up with resentment in that school, learns how to fight a little bit in that school, but is always wanting to be figure out his parents' murder. He calls the officer every single night being like, "Have you found anything?" He's like, "No, I haven't found anything. There's no leads." And is it before or after? The first time we see the Batman, is he go to the zoo and go into the Bat Cave? Or at the Bat little
the Bat
exhibit?
House, the Bat Garden, or whatever.
I think it's before you meet the Batman.
No, it's when he's descending upon the criminals that end up in the police station the next day. And then Bruce happens to be there too after the bats flood the house.
So it's before,
right.
Okay.
That's the first time we see
Batman's
the Batman
flying over the city.
First time that Bruce sees him.
The first time that shows up in the book is when he's in a coma. He said he hears a voice and it says, "Safe, you safe."
That's right.
And by the end of the book, Bruce thinks, it's part of Alfred's notes that he thinks that Bruce, like he had such great will to be like, no, I need to stop these people who killed my parents and stop them from, because there's a part like where the officer says, nothing, we have no leads unless somebody else gets hurt and we can maybe build off of that and figure out who they are. And he's like, if we get lucky. And he's like, it doesn't sound too lucky to me that somebody else has to get hurt for me to figure out who killed my parents. And so Alfred has a theory at the end that it's just such will that he really wants Batman to come here. There's no heroes in his world. He's like, here's a part where Bruce is like, there's no, like he learns Batman's not real. Like he would have been there. He would have stopped this. And so he kind of wills his Batman character into his world. And that's what Alfred thinks. And so that made that part okay with me. Like there was a monster, and for me that was like, kind of supernatural. And then Alfred's like, I think like this comes from inside of him. Like this is like he willed this into the world, and now this thing is out there stopping crime. And he stops where he captures, like you said, the one of the criminals who robbed his house and killed his parents, and he gives up all the rest of the accomplices. But then Alfred's like, if I would have spent time with him then and helped him out and like brought him to therapy or like talked to him, I think it would have ended there, but it didn't. And you see that Bruce is like, no, I'm going to save everybody.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to become the creature of the night.
Well, that's what I think too, is like in a future issue, they're going to morph into one. I hope that's the case, that he'll actually become the Batman. Like right now he's controlling with his mind.
Yeah.
Not controlling it, but
he's sharing,
he's willing him into existence.
A conscience with them.
Right. But that
they will meld together.
Right. And
possibly if it did come within him and he willed it to be part of the real world, maybe it will go back into him and like he'll be the Batman.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see that this quote unquote Batman is what a lot of the bad guys even describe the Batman to be.
Right.
Just this big behemoth of a man monster attacking you. Well, he's not. Normally he's just a person.
He says a couple times.
This time it's actually a man monster
Criminals
attacking
are superstitious.
Cowardly bunch.
Times.
Leon's art is really
Great.
well. Really
it is so detailed.
It is. There's a lot. That's why it took me a half hour to read, because I'm like, there's so much in each panel.
First page, I opened up and I'm looking at Bruce in his house, and there's just stuff everywhere.
So what year does this take place? Is this 1938?
No.
I thought I saw 1930 something somewhere. I know that's when
68.
Oh, 68? That might have been it. Because I thought 38, and I was like, Batman wasn't even in existence then.
I remember seeing a big 68 somewhere in this book.
Well, then that would have been right around when the Batman TV series came out and all that. Yeah. But yeah, the coloring is very similar to Superman's Secret Identity. So I think he got the same colorists on this book to make it seem like it's a cohesive universe.
John Paul did his own colors.
Oh, he did his own colors. So I wonder if this will actually tie into that. I doubt it'll tie into Superman's Secret Identity, but maybe. Yeah.
I kind of hope that it doesn't. I hope it just gets to be its own thing.
Right, agreed.
Because in its own world, I mean, I realize they could share a world. That's fine.
Yeah.
But to be its own story on its own would be so nice. And it was really good. It was a little, I don't want to say wordy, because it was help set up stuff.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah.
It definitely is not something that is super action-packed. And that's what I actually liked about this, that they go through Bruce Dodge's life and they show you how much this toll takes on him and how much it affects him. And like if this was a real kid that lost his parents, like it really does feel for a while until like the Batman shows up that like you're like reading a book about like what would happen with a kid he lost his parents and like how he deals with that, how he has the anger, how he's sad, and he finally decides to do something about it. And
sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, I was just going to say, I really do like that aspect of this book, that it's not just a story about this kid wanting Batman to help him out. It's also about like the loss of a parent and how it affects a child, and just him going through it, and him he has somebody still in that's could be part of his life and doesn't want to, and he goes through that resentment and being like, Alfred, why don't you want me? Like, I don't understand why you keep trying to ship me off. And Alfred says in those notes, obviously happens after this, like it's post this book in the future. He's like, I should have. Like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, that makes you like sick inside. Like this kid experienced extreme grief and nobody will talk to him. Nobody. Like, could you imagine having something so painful happen to you and you have no outlet whatsoever, ever. And when you're you're just begging for someone to like, hey, please, like, listen to my problem, and he doesn't get anything. That's why Batman exists.
The therapist wouldn't listen to him. The cops wouldn't. His uncle wouldn't. So like, or his great uncle, I guess.
Right.
The one thing I found actually really hard reading this book was Martha and Thomas dying.
Yeah, that was
and they don't show it, which is nice because it sounds horrible.
No, but the other way.
But the way it's described is Martha. They broke her jaw and then shot her in the head. And the way he goes, maybe she didn't answer a question fast enough. I thought, wow, those fuckers are monsters.
And then
his dad gets shot, 4 times in the chest and in the neck?
In the neck, yeah.
I was like,
because he's trying to protect
he wants to fight back for her.
And then they still even shoot him too, Bruce.
Yep. Yeah. Kiddo or what? No, Trooper.
Little Trooper.
Which they made, yeah. So I just thought, man, I can, as a soon to be dad, and just as a
definitely
guy,
for me.
As a guy who has a wife, I would be Thomas Wayne, and
Yeah, definitely for me was like, yeah, that's what I would do too. And I would die, and then like your kid's all alone, and then that's what made it like more impactful for me seeing this kid. Like people, like kids do lose their parents all the time, and so that was really real. I felt like in this, Kurt Busiek's really great about that, taking real people in extraordinary situations and like making you feel like it's so real, like in Marvel's and Secret Identity. Just like he's so good about taking normal people and them like having these superheroes in their world or looking up to them, and like in this book, and showing you being like, okay, like if this happened in this world and there was like people looked up to Batman, and like that was his hero, and he's like, how do I react to this? Like my parents are dead, and like trying to like use Batman as a beacon of hope in this world where, like you said, like he has nobody. Right. All he has is this fictional idea of Batman, his hero. How does he react to that? How does a normal kid react to that? And Kurt Busiek's really good about being like, how real can I make this book, but also like something super about it.
Yeah,
I love this book too.
Yeah,
this was second compared to that annual. I think just because it's the first one. I'm sure when this is all over, I'm going to love it.
Yeah,
it definitely does feel a lot like Secret Identity.
Yeah,
and for me, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm excited for the rest of them. Are they coming out monthly?
Yep.
Cool.
I guess maybe I don't remember. I remember reading Secret Identity, but I don't remember it being as
Go read that book and try not crying at the end.
I think that's the thing, is that I read it and it was just to read it. Where I've gotten into that place now, and actually now that I'm going to be a dad, Marvel, I can understand why things make you sad, or why certain books or certain things you read do affect you more.
Okay, go back and read Superman.
Because even just talking to you right now about his family dying, I looked at you and I'm like, I had to look away from you because I was going to start getting sad.
I read 2 books back to back. Do you have Batman Annual number 2 or number 1? Is it 2? 1.
Well, 2. No,
2.
It's 2.
It is 2. And when you have him like lose a spouse, and even that was like, for me, I was like, fuck. And then we read this where child loses his parents, and like you said, even that part where for a slight period of time, his wife got brutally murdered in front of him, and he tries to save them, and he gets shot too. 2 books I read back to back. Was not good for me.
Yeah, mistake.
But both books were like very real in that aspect about being like the loss of a loved one. And like you said, like it does. And I mean, it's, I think, just human nature that when you go through something or you can relate to it more, it impacts you more. So like you said, for you, definitely a lot of this stuff too is going to be, because before, like, I could see stuff with kids and I'd be like, oh, that's like sad, but like it wouldn't like affect me. But now anything with a kid or anything like what you said, where like a spouse gets injured, oof, buddy, can't do it.
Yep.
Especially kids.
That'd be like me reading the night I read We Three and Pride of Baghdad. That was a tough night.
Even something as small, and it's not that small when you think about it, but even if, I'm not saying like the loss of a parent, but even like in media when like a kid gets bullied in school, fucking pisses me off like no other thing now. And I get so angry and so like sad inside. Like I get this like pit knot in my stomach that I'm like that might happen one day to my kid. And like it just like that part of it. Like before I watched it on TV, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is the bully, you know, like I'm thinking about it, the story aspect, but now you do think, like you said, you relate it to real life and it makes it more impactful. And Kurt Busiek's really good about doing that. And I'm really excited to see the rest of the story. I do think actually I read that each part takes place in a different part of his life. So he's older than that.
That's what I thought.
Which is, I'm totally cool with that. I'm hoping that it lives up to Superman Secret Identity.
This is also a 10 for me, but it's a little below Batman Annual if you want to know that aspect.
I'm going to give it a 9. I really enjoyed it. I'm just ready for a little bit more story.
I agree with Garrett. This was actually a 9 for me. This was a good introduction. Wasn't nearly as strong, and unfortunately, I didn't have anticipation for it. Where I was like, "Oh, this book's going to blow me away." It didn't.
To be fair,
not like 10.
To me, I did give it a 10 because I do like that DC decided to make it a prestige and like that's kind of a risk to be like, this is what is $6?
Yeah,
but I think it's worth it.
Oh, this
no ads
for story.
prestige. And it's like,
or that Mystic U's got like a. Sorry, I'm bringing that up. $5.99, same cover as a normal DC cover.
Is it normal cover?
Yeah.
That's what I heard too.
Yep.
I heard it was good though.
I looked through it and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get this. If it actually had been this kind of card copy, maybe.
Oh, that makes me sad. Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know.
But I got to find our next book, Garrett. Sorry.
Oh, we're doing Old Man Logan.
Old Man.
I was going to do Old Man Logan, not just Old Logan.
If you watched
Like
the
I
Gauntlet this
did.
week.
Oh,
By
the
the way, go to our YouTube page. We have a YouTube only show now called The Gauntlet with these two. Not me. We have Alex and Garrett run through their gems of the week.
Yeah.
They run what they picked up and what they're looking forward to.
So we got Old Man Logan, number 31. Still made me laugh, Old Logan. Written by Ed Brisson, art by Mike Deodato, and colors by Frank Martin. It was good.
Right.
Again, not quite what I was expecting from this book.
It was kind of a weak start of an arc, to be honest.
We got thrown into Japan, and I love when Logan's in Japan. You know, I think my biggest thing is that Logan is actually fluent in Japan, which just blows my mind.
Japanese.
What did I say?
Japan.
He's fluent, but he's literally in Japan, so he can be fluent in Japan.
He's like a
but
Japan
speaking
native.
Japanese,
Right?
But you know, the whole big build up to this Scarlet Samurai was kind of a letdown.
I think that was the poor choice of a cover for this book.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe that's the thing. It actually didn't live up to what was in the book.
Right. I mean, you get like you even guessed it. Like I bet Silver Samurai's in this book, and like literally shows up halfway through.
Yeah.
And it's basically Logan's going to Japan to just relive some old memories. He runs into a couple of scumbags who can regrow their limbs, and then boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, the next arc's the Hand versus Logan versus Scarlet Samurai.
It just, you know what the thing is? I think there need to be one other issue in between this and the last arc.
That was a hard transition.
Yeah, because all of a sudden we just showed up, and I don't remember him ever even talking. I'm going to go to Japan for a while.
Yeah.
It just shows up, and I'm sorry, if you're fighting guys who can regrow their arms, you know what you do? You pull a Last Stand, kick him in the nuts, and then tell him, grow those back.
Right. Well, the art saved this issue, if anything. I mean, not saying the story was bad. It just wasn't.
It just wasn't what I was
we were
expecting.
getting.
Yeah. I, to be fair, I have nothing against this book other than I needed a transitional issue or at least a 5-page going. You know, I got to get away from what just happened.
Right, like him like pushing some Hulks off his body and
Kinda.
Like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
So
like that was a big ordeal, and like you know, you think about Logan's origins. You know, he killed Hulks before, so that should have more to do with his character, not just like, well, took care of that. Next thing.
Maybe that's the thing is they just kind of shovels it off like it's
Right.
just a usual thing. It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
You just fought a whole Hulk world from your past life.
Right.
You need to recoup. Just go drink some beers. Go find your current day Logan. Go in that truck and drink some brewskis back.
Yeah.
So it was good. The fight with Silver Samurai ends up fighting the Hand.
Right.
I don't even understand why they're there. Is it for the tech?
It was so the Hand was actually a distraction for the Scarlet Samurai to kill the Silver Samurai.
Okay,
or at least.
I got that they were the distraction, but why are they there? Is it she wants to take? Oh, I see. Scarlet wants to take over his business.
Organization.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
So I mean, for a starter, I give this book a 7 because I can't even give it an 8.
No,
It was too. There was not enough like Logan as a character. It's just Logan. I mean, usually I'm like all for ripping people's heads off, but this was not. There was no reason behind it. Logan like literally was just following a hunch and just kept going with it. When has Logan ever been proactive? He's the lazy.
Yeah.
He's the lazy hero. He's not like
he's supposed to be the muscle. He's the expendable one that won't die.
right. It's like in Logan the movie, he's like someone will come along. That's like how he's always acts, and it's not him to be like, oh, I'm gonna see what's next. Like, no, I don't think that's
I actually am going to give this a 6.
6.
This has honestly been the weakest issue of Brisson Run.
Right.
And I think part of it is that one, Logan wasn't in it as nearly as often as I thought he should have been.
Right.
And I don't know. Something rubbed me wrong about this. I think it is the transitional issue I want. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Who's reading this bad boy?
you.
I am? All right.
I did the last one.
Last book of the night, Black Magick, number 9, written by Greg Rucka with art by Nicola Scott and colors by somebody?
There's colors assists. right
Assist by Chiara Arena. So we get a story that opens up with the Aira, is it? A-I-R-A? How do you say his name? Ira?
here. I think it's Ira.
Ira.
The Ira.
Yep.
A-R-A? Showing up. Basically, he's planning to break into
Rose's house.
Rose's house.
Rowan.
Rowan's house? I thought that was her.
R-O-W.
Rowan.
It was Rowan's
Rowan
house?
Black.
Oh, okay. Who's her friend?
Alex.
Oh, okay, I thought it was there.
That's the house they go to at the end of the book. They go to Alex's house. Where she pulls up to her house and she gets a text being like, you should come over. You said you were going to come over. And she leaves to go to Alex's house.
okay, I get what you're saying. Cool.
Yeah, but the bad guy breaks into, spoilers,
Yeah.
into Rose's house.
Spoilers. Yeah,
Right.
we're talking spoilers.
Yeah, this book was, if you read the last issue, another victim had been dropped right in front. Rowan had to kill this guy.
I had
he was
totally
running
forgotten
around
about
in
it.
total
Really?
fear.
Until like 3 pages into.
What was the last issue came out, 2 months ago?
A month and a half ago. It was probably the beginning of October. Because I could barely remember that. What happened? Oh, that's right. She shot him in the chest.
Yeah, shot him because he made a huge scene in this bar, like terrified of her and was saying, "You made me do it. You made me do it." And she's like, "What did I make you do?"
Then he flipped the table and left
Yeah.
And then took out a gun and she shot him.
in the street. Yeah, she was firing. Or he was firing.
What I like most about the series is it's kind of like Walking Dead as in pacing. Like it doesn't do too much all at once. Like I think
Definitely not an action book now.
right. It's more. It takes its time to breathe and give you good quality story as opposed to frontlining.
Did you like
front-loading
the
action.
investigator that's investigating to make sure that Rowan is on the up and up because the second homicide she's had on the job in the last month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to figure out if everything was okay. And at the end, he clears her, but you could tell he's still he asked her if he's Wiccan or if she's Wiccan. And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? And she's like, well, you kept saying the goddess or she instead of, saying my God, you said my goddess. So she's like, okay. But even in that moment, I was like, this guy's onto her. He knows everything's on the up and up.
But even Ro was ready to give away more information. She's like, "Oh, is that all? Yeah, is that, or should there be more? Oh, no, that's fine."
And so she is getting about to go home. And then instead, Alex tells her to come over. Something she's got to tell her. And we cut to Alex and her. She shows her that symbol that's on the ground. And they talk about how
Witch hunters
are out there. And
I like the IRA better than IRA, but
and how they killed them in the past. And now they're back again and they're after him. So you do get the part now where now they know for sure the witch hunters are out there. They're after them. And then we cut to a witch hunter that broke into her house and hears a voice, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And then the cat on the cover, Alex with the crowd,
Hawthorne.
says, what did he say, Alex?
Who the fuck are you?
He says it no, because the guy's like, "Who are you?" And he's like,
He jumps in the
"Let's
table.
rephrase this
Yeah.
because you're walking into this house. Who the fuck are you?"
Yeah. Made me laugh.
I tell you what, I had seen something on a website going, "Oh, that cat's my new favorite character." And once I read the "Who the fuck are you?" I was like,
Once again, very subtle storytelling. Everything that's magic is colored. The cat's text is colored, so we know that he's magic. That's the reason why he can
I
talk.
wish that they would have colored his collar though, not his collar, but his
Maybe his eyes or something. His eyes
pen-
are green.
in the book.
In the book, maybe not. I'm not sure.
They're not in the book. They're gray. So I wish that the cat would have had a little bit more coloring other than just.
And we'll see.
But
Really liked it. Like you said, it's not a book that I read. I'm like, oh, but a lot of stuff happened in this book. It's definitely a lot of character stuff.
If you read the back matter though, if you like that cat, he said that there's a lot more of this cat. Obviously, that was going to happen, but if you liked that, even that last page, that you're going to get a lot more of Hawthorne.
Question about the back matter. Greg Rucka says, I hope you guys have been reading, or somebody says, the editor thing, says, I hope you guys have been reading those journal pages because something was revealed in there that's going to impact this book. Made me realize, I don't know what that is.
It ends on a cliffhanger.
What
It's
is it?
basically one of Rowan's great ancestors gets invited by not getting invited. Did I say invited?
Yes.
Is interacting with someone from the IRA. God, I love that.
The other realm.
AI, yeah, right. And basically, there's potential that Rowan's ancestor became a witch hunter.
Oh, okay.
So a little inter-family turmoil.
He
That's
said-
why they're showing a family tree on the back. Not a tree, but like this breakdown of Rowan's lineage, because it doesn't even go back to before, because it's the 1500s when the collusion happens, basically. So,
It was good. I gave
Solid.
this. I give
8.
this a 9. Oh, I was going to give it a 9.
I'm sticking at 8.
Mostly for that cat.
It was good. I mean, it's a different kind of Greg Rucka book. It's more about the characters and more, like you said, slow paced, but so great.
This is the book
out.
that I actually want to read. Oh, I need to go back and reread them all.
Yeah, I wish
one more
it came
time.
out month to month.
Because this is that's my problem. Is this is one of those books that it had taken a year hiatus that I did fall behind. Not fall behind, but I lost track of what the hell was going on.
It took a year hiatus? I didn't know this. I read it all the way
You don't have issues though, right? You just
I have the first trade.
Okay.
And then,
And then
I
you're
have
caught up on the issues.
6
7,
through, and 6 through 9, yeah.
There we go. We have Black Magic number
9.
9. We have Batman Creature of the Night number 1, or book 1. Batman Annual number 2. And Lazarus X+66 number 5 of 6. Moon Knight 189. And Old Man Logan 31.
Correct.
Make sure to email us or contact us on Twitter. Email 605, Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com or on Twitter at Wednesday Comics. Let us know what you picked up, what you like. If you like any of these books too, let us know your thoughts. We're always available online anytime at WednesdayComics.com. I don't know where that came from. Let's go on to our segment of this week. Hey, we're coming to the end of the year. Every year. Last year, I guess we could say every year since it's 2 years in a row. We start our top 5 list, the best of the year. Everybody starts doing it around this time. And if you remember from last year, we had 3 shows about it. We had top 5, which we're going to do today. Top 5 best new series. That's a series that came out in 2017. And the next week we'll have top 5 writers and artists. That means 2 different top 5s. And then the week after that, our top 5 series of the year. That's what we did last year. Best series of the year. But we're going to talk about the best new series. Talk about some new books that came out this year. Things we are excited for that came out. And we're looking forward to moving on. And by the way, I wrote them down. And now I can't log into my account.
Oh, God. Master planner over here.
So, Alex, you go first. That way I have an amount of time to try to figure out this password.
Holy shit. Okay, so my number 5 is The Realm.
Nice.
I was struggling to figure out what books to put on this list. And this is one of those books that's only 3 issues in. And I'm going, you know what? This is kind of a Walking Dead Black Magic book. Not a whole lot really happens. You just kind of go from step to step.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I actually kind of enjoy that. I like the setup that it's kind of a fantastical world, post-apocalyptic, fantastical present day world type of thing. It's a weird mix. Yeah. And like I've told everyone, this means nothing to you, Garrett, but it really does remind me of The Last of Us, where you're just the main character, whose name I can't remember.
I can't remember now either.
For some reason, I'm thinking Cole, and I know that's not it.
Wow.
But he reminds me so much of Joel for the fact that he's a smuggler. His whole job right now in this world is to smuggle people or other things through the dangerous zones. I was like, it's really kind of cool. So that was my first one. I'm hoping this book stays strong. First 3 issues have been pretty good. Like I said, not a lot really going on, but it is enjoyable.
I got one gripe, and that is they've been releasing a music video for each comic. The freaking second one's not on their website, but first and third are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, show me some of the second
What's
action. Like, you want me to be a mega fan? And then you give me butt kiss.
Can't be a mega fan.
Is it on their YouTube page?
I looked on the YouTube page. I looked on the fan page. I looked on the website.
Twitter.
No one uses Twitter. Am I going next?
Yep.
All right.
You still can't remember.
Not yet. What?
You got it?
I like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
One that I'll go over is Go Go Power Rangers, written by Ryan Parrott with art by Dan Mora. It's pretty cool. I mean, we've grown up watching Power Rangers. I mean, you guys were like 18 when it came out. Um,
Oh, we got older since he said 16
So last
last
week we were
time.
16. So
I'm giving you more wisdom. But it's cool seeing, like, we've always saw the surface of those characters, and this actually breaks them down into, like, who they are as people. And I think that's something that in the show you never get a taste of. I mean, you get the really campy, like, whans, but you don't get, like, their actual motivations for being a Power Ranger. So that's really cool. And Dan Moore's art drawing those Power Rangers or even the Megazord, so cool.
yeah.
Like, one of the best things.
I agree. I actually thought about dropping that book, but Dan Moore really does save that book.
Yeah, and it complements the main series. So I know you don't read the main series, but it's just cool character study for, I mean, yes, they're Power Rangers, but they're more than that.
Yeah, that they're actually these people, these kids who've got lives.
Right.
I was 7 when it came out, so.
You're 17.
I'd say it would have been 5.
And he wouldn't have been alive.
Dead.
I was probably just being born.
What year?
93 when it came out.
Yeah, you were just being born.
Oh, it's 4 then. Sorry.
Actually, it was March 1930.
I'm
So
the
if you're
golden,
7, I
I'm
was
the
4.
golden Power Ranger because it came out the year of.
Dun, 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 dun.
I told Alex before you got here, and I guarantee you, Garrett's going to have a grip about this, but my number 5 is kind of bending the rules a little bit because it came out after we did our best new series of last year, but it didn't come out in 2017. Like, it came out the last week.
What
of
is
December.
it?
So my number 5.
That's fine.
All right.
I've got one.
It was not a contender for last year.
I've got
It
2.
was in that sweet
Okay,
spot.
so you're saying that we had a show just like this.
Yeah,
and
last year. It came out after the
Okay,
show.
that's fine. That's fair.
But it was in 2017. But it's like so close that I'm like, I have to.
I just want to point for the record, if I did this, I'd be crucified on the wall right now.
well, I'm telling
I
you
would
right,
understand.
I'm telling you right now, I've got 2 that do bend the rules.
He
to an
did say that
extent.
too. So,
Oh,
I don't know what that his means, but is it similar to mine or is it different?
Depends what yours is.
Okay, mine is Hawkeye from Marvel.
That's my number 3.
Kelly Thompson and
I thought about doing that, but then I followed the rules. So.
I bent it because only one issue came out last year.
yes, and it was the 14th of December, so I was like close enough. Very, like I said, very fun book. The art's great, and for it to be consistent, I looked at it, I was like, geez, this thing's been out for a whole year. Whenever the next issue comes out, and for it to be that great throughout, I think is an achievement, especially during the time when, for us especially, some people, not everybody, but time for me where Marvel books, I'm like, I was cutting loose because they weren't really fitting what I wanted a Marvel book to be. But this book always was on really kind of on its own, but a really fun book, kind of built on the Fraction Hawkeye run, but was its own. And Kelly Thompson, I think, is a really strong writer. She really gets that character, Kate Bishop. And it's a book that when I get it every single time, I am excited to read it. So, like, it's a fun book. Number 5.
I agree with that. It's a good book.
Alex, what's your number 4?
Actually, I
Best
changed,
new series.
I changed my Hawkeye as my number 4.
Okay.
This is one of those books that was going to get right away, even before I talked to you about getting it. Because I had gotten it first. I think you had chosen not to.
I love Jeff Lemire, but that in between all new Hawkeye,
Yeah, from Fraction to...
not good.
Yep. So I had only read Fraction. I didn't get the All-Star or the All-New. And I thought, I still want a Hawkeye because I loved Kate Bishop. I thought she was so much fun to read those books. And I looked through the art and I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't but it's got some references to it. I love the focus points on what she's seeing and what she's registering as a weapon or a Wolverine that's literally a Wolverine or a mini Wolverine. I like those things. Draws my attention to it and it makes me go, oh, okay.
It's not only a fun book, it's very funny.
Yeah.
Like, I think actually it's one of the books that are out right now that I either smile or laugh out loud when I read that book. And I think it's pretty great for a book to be that consistent. But also, like, Kelly Thompson's a writer now that I read that book and I'm like, okay, why isn't she doing more for Marvel?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we said that we would want her to write Jessica Jones. So,
Or come on over and do some Wonder Woman.
hey.
Give
I tell
James
you
Robinson
what,
a break.
I tell you what, if her Wonder Woman, if she did a Wonder Woman,
She would be great at it.
she'd be great at
She
it.
would.
Absolutely.
Garrett, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Youngblood by Chad Lowe with
Whoa.
written by Chad Lowe with art by Jim Tao. This book I was surprised that I would really enjoy it as much as I do, having never read anything previous to this about Youngblood. Originally created by Rob Lowe. It's kind of weird that they're not Rob Lowe.
No, I was like, I don't think
Rob Liefeld.
I didn't think the actor had anything to do with it.
Rob Liefeld. You know, actually, Rob Lowe starred in a movie called Youngblood. That's what I typed in to find the creative team. I was like, I don't want this. Ironic. But basically, being a new fan or being a veteran fan of this team, you get serviced correctly. Like, I didn't know anything about the Youngblood team. They tell me everything I need to know for the story. The action's incredible. The art by Tao is so good. I really love the first arc, and the first arc just ended. So you still have time to pick it up. But I mean, Alex, you've read it. I mean,
it is. I'm surprised how good it is.
Right. Like going in, we thought it was like, oh, maybe we don't need to know anything about the previous Youngblood team. But now it makes me want to go back and get more of that Youngblood and stuff.
I'm actually surprised I'm enjoying this book because I the first issue I was like, oh, that's okay. 2 got, and actually as the book progresses, it gets better.
Oh, it gets way better.
Because I think it's one of those I've started to solidify who these characters are. My favorite character's got to be the president, Die Hard.
Yeah.
1, I'm biased for the name. 2, he's pretty BA.
Yeah. Bruce Willis is probably under there.
Is it you for number 4?
Yep.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's the reason I was gonna be like, I do my number 4. I'll do one. My number 4. I don't know why I said it like that, but
Number 4.
my number 4 is also it's a miniseries, but it also comes from Marvel again. Punisher the Platoon by Gareth. No, not Gareth. That's the director of Godzilla.
I'm right here. I'm Garrett.
From Garth Ennis and art by Gordon Pavlov, I believe. We're only 2 issues in, right?
3.
3 issues in.
Way to go.
Love everyone. Yeah, but 3 issues in. I think it's 6. Going to be 6?
I believe so.
Maybe longer. I don't know. Anyways, we're only 3 issues in, but those 3 issues are... I really do love Fury Max, and it really does kind of bring that aspect back to it, but also seeing like this Punisher in this kind of world, like in Vietnam, it brings like... It's basically a war book. So if you want a war book, you get that book, and just like the mental toll it takes on somebody being in a situation like that, but also it's an examination of that character, Frank Castle, of seeing what makes him the Punisher, and they're trying to figure out like, was he like this going in, or did Vietnam make him like this? And it's nice that it's kind of like this reporter kind of telling the story from the future, and they're going back and re-examining it from the viewpoint of his squad teammates, his platoon. Good one. And what's the name of the book? And for him, see, or like for them to see Frank Castle, like knowing what he became, them looking back, being like, okay, so what made him that way? Was it this? And I don't know. The art's great. The art's brutal sometimes, but I think the storytelling also is like a nice examination, nice war book for Frank Castle. I really do like it a lot. It's one of those, it's like I said, we have a fun book in Hawkeye, and then I get this book. It's not fun, but it's interesting to me.
It's not fun.
It's very great, but it's not like, I don't read that book being like Hawkeye, I read it feeling good for myself, and then I read Punisher Platoon, I'm like,
that's some bleak stuff right there.
It's some bleak stuff, especially issue 2.
I read issue 3, and it was good. Issue 2, oof, that's a whole different kind of animal. So, my number 3, now, this is a little bit of a bend. I did Black Magick for the fact that it had been on a year hiatus.
Oof, that's
and then got reprised and reborn in 2017.
You could say, so you can't talk about issue 5 before. It has to be 6.
Because those are the worst parts of the book. Actually, those are really good. But I have to admit, it's at the first issue 6 that we get back into in 2017. It takes you from a young Rose stance, and you see her get brought into, I believe it would be called the Coven, right?
I can't remember.
Well, anyway, she gets brought into the witch family, and then you get to see her progress from issues that have already passed. And then now you've read 5, right? Yeah, you've already read the first 5. We haven't made any reference to that back matter, like that thing that happens in 5, where you see all the other realm creatures who want to kill her,
right?
Which I think is the little girl that we've met in
it's like
issue 6.
That's like the conduit, that one. Because in the cover of the next issue for 10 is the girl, you see the voodoo doll of Rowan that's being held by the other girl.
So this is one of those books, like we've said, it's kind of a slow-burning book, but I can guarantee you this book is going to start creeping me out when we start getting into more of the supernatural stuff.
Right now we're doing one issue and it's going to explode.
Yeah. So my hope is that this book carries forward just boggling my mind. But I've really enjoyed it.
You know, when you first mentioned that was your bend in the rules, I was going to yell at you because it doesn't make sense. But then you do make a good point. When that book came back, it was kind of like a rebirth of that book. I think they did take the time to be like, how can we use this as an opportunity, just like he did for Lazarus when I was going to take a break, to kind of readjust this book and bring it in a new way. And I think that the first 5 issues and then the new ones, they do feel a little different. I do feel like it is like that first part was volume 1, and then this is like, or not even volume 1, like that was part like story 1, and then now we go with story 2. So I'll allow it.
Jace. My number 3 is, geez, why I have my phone down this low? I don't know why you do that, Alex.
I already knew what it was.
Mechadet U, written by Greg Pak, with art by Takeshi Miyazawa. And screw you, no, it is not. What a great book. If you've ever seen like Real Steel, where it's like anything to do with robots, like Real Steel is like kids that whatever box with robots, but this is the kind of the same concept. It's these kids are being trained, more like Ender's Game, to control, to help fight a war, basically. Then it turns into Pacific Rim. There's a lot of things you could tie this from. Anything dealing with robots.
That turns into Pacific Rim.
Basically, every couple months or year, whatever, they'll send, like, robots will descend upon the earth and they'll pick a human, like, champion, basically. And there's these 3 like premium cadets that are destined to probably have one, and then there's what do they call him? He's called Mechadet U, but he's called, I can't remember his name right now, his first name. But he's like a janitor's son, or like the cafeteria lady's son, and
those are 2 different things.
Whatever. No, she's a cleaner. Yeah, I'm screwing this up. She's a cleaner, and
French
he
maid.
helps her clean the cadet. Jesus, I'm sinking here. The hangar.
I see what was canceled for.
No. He helps her clean the hangar, and then the robot actually picks him instead of the, like, literally, it goes right past the prime candidate and picks you. Not you, but Mechadet you.
To be fair, I'm guessing that none of our listeners assumed you're talking to. Why we just?
But if you like a cool sci-fi story with robots fighting aliens, this is the book to go to. There's a lot of heartfelt moments between. God, I can't think of his first name. It's gonna drive me nuts. Maybe it is Mech. I don't think so.
Mech means mechanical.
Thank you, but whatever. No, it's not Mech. I can't remember right now.
Is it Cadet?
I hate you. I can't remember what. Maybe
Dude, you don't normally struggle this much.
I don't normally struggle this much. Yeah, I guess because it hasn't come out for a couple weeks. I read it. That's like 50 issues ago. Stanford. You. Thank you.
Because it hasn't.
I do say you mixed it up with Mac. It sounds exactly the same.
Shut up,
Stanford.
But yeah, it's a fun story if you like the innocence of kids getting killer robots to fight aliens.
Nice save.
Yep, that was a word.
Please.
That was a. Yep, that was good.
Nice save. Hey, the art looks great. I don't know about the story, but I've seen the art from afar. Looks good.
So now it's going to be an ongoing.
Now they just announced that on the last page of the last issue was supposed to be the final. Now an ongoing series. And Mr. Greg Pak tweeted me and said,
I'd say, to be fair, Garrett cried. His brother told me about it that day as he...
Did he tweet at you or he just liked your post?
I didn't say he tweeted at me. I said he liked my tweet.
Listen back to the tape. You said
no, I just said it. This isn't a tape either. This is digital recording.
Okay. Anyway.
Old man.
Kind of hope they cancel that book again.
Number 3.
My number 3 is The Wild Storm from Warren Ellis. And the art is by John. What's his name?
Davis Hunt.
It's what, 8 issues in?
Nope.
8.
9.
9 issues in. Fantastic the whole time. That's something like I think I said before in the show. That's something that I expected to be like, I'll get it for 2 issues and I guarantee I'm going to be out. Because Warren Ellis is okay for me, but every once in a while it's like too much. Especially like too much technobabble, and he gets like too. Like Greg Rucka is good about building a world, about leaving characters live in the world. I feel like Warren Ellis every once in a while gets lost in the world, and he like starts explaining stuff that's not pertinent to the world, and you're like,
right.
What's this mean? But with that world, I believe like everything's necessary, even like small things. Like there's a scene in one of the issues where a person's having a gunfight in a hallway and he's counting the bullets. Like even something small as that, being like that's necessary because it adds tension and suspension to that scene. And then even the fight scenes are amazing. I don't know who's the person figured out those fight scenes, if it's Warren Ellis in the script or if John Davis Hunt takes over and does them all himself. If Warren Ellis is just like, hey, just do a fight scene.
Dude, I'm thinking it's like choreography done for this scene.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Like, it is like
there's more to it than just.
Well, Warren Ellis has worked on a lot of projects. I'm sure he had a connection somewhere that maybe consulted.
Those Moon Knight fights were good too.
Because that's one of those things that the more since we've done this show, I'm even more aware of fight scenes, like how a fight scene leads from place to place, and how you got from this spot to bashing that person's face into a table. I forget what book it was I was reading, but is Defenders, the last issue that came out. I followed that fight scene between Electro and Iron Fist to the T.
But I do think I really do like the book a lot. Like I said, I thought it was something I would drop right away, but it is like a cool book to read. And the action scenes are great, but the story also like has me interested. And every issue I'm like, okay, what's happening next? And also just a special mention, the side story, Michael O'Cray, he's even great too. Like the whole world is an exciting way in the way that they're doing it, the way that the main series come out and the main series comes out, and we know that we're only going to get 24 issues of the main series, and it tells you right away from the beginning, we know how many issues we're going to have, and it's like, it does feel like the story's already done, and like it's coming out, it doesn't feel like they're making it up as they go along, and that I think makes the story greater because they can plan long term for certain things in the book, and so really great book. Warren Ellis, John Davis Hunt.
My number 2.
Number 1.
Is Wildstorm.
Pick number 2, my lord.
Actually, my number 2 is
Why'd you bring number 2 up when he brought up number 3?
Because number 3, my lord. Nope, I actually chose Wildstorm. I thought this was one of those books that, like you said, it has nailed a lot of things. Politically, it's actually pretty good. That's probably the only part that actually does kind of bore me is all the political mumbo jumbo.
You just said that was the best part of the book.
No, just said
He said it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
But it's part of it.
Holy shit, that's really great. It's the best. I love the fight scenes in this book. I think Davis Hunt really does nail it. Whether he's doing the choreography for it or if it's a combined thought. I just love the characters. I love seeing Zelt. I love seeing Grifter. I love seeing the engineer. I just like... He is so meticulous on his details. Man, there's a lot of work he's got to do to put in that book.
Yeah,
and so I'm just
probably why they started a long time ago to get this done. Like Marvin said, it might be even complete for the most part.
I would think that if they knew the end goal, that they would have the story at least like nailed down before they even started. You mentioned the political stuff. Actually, I do like that too. There's a lot of like real world politics, especially about dealing with technology and how companies use that technology to further themselves, and how companies like in Lazarus, it's about stuff about how much money you have. That's who's in power. And this book is kind of like companies coming into power, and companies are what rules the world and not political figures or leaders of the world. It's companies. I really do like that too. Like they're fighting. It's a company fight. The whole thing is a company fight over technology and over who knows what and who has control of what part. Like Earth, and there's like a space.
Skynet.
Group,
Skywatch
that controls it. Like, oh, I love it so much. It's good.
Skynet we need to keep from coming to this point.
That's right. I forgot.
My number 2 is Crosswind, written by Gail Simone with art by Kat Staggs. That book gives me some serious Crosswind.
Okay.
But seriously, it is like a mix of Goodfellas with like
Really?
Desperate Housewives.
Real?
like I would say, Desperate Housewives for real. And then a mix with Face Off, like the movie with. I swear to God,
It is
like Face Off?
it is. Except they don't obviously take their faces off, but they do the switcheroo. Freaky Friday, whatever.
Nick Cage in it? I'm in all the way.
You know what? He
looks kind of
in all
like Nick
honesty,
Cage.
he does look like Nick Cage.
But these two are so convincing as each other's counterpart.
Yeah.
And the whole reason that they got switched in the first place is because they were dicks to him when he was trying to get... The guy that put a curse on him, basically, was trying to get home to see his dying wife. And he couldn't... They didn't have enough room on the plane because he was waitlisted. And they wouldn't give it up for anything.
Yep.
And she was like, no, I want to get on that flight to see my family and blah, blah, blah. He's like, my wife's dying. Like, she's literally dying. And so the wife and then the
June and Kaysen?
Yeah.
I think it's
Kaysen.
Cason. So Kaysen.
Right. They're like, yeah, we don't give a crap. And so he's like, oh, okay. And so he doesn't get to see it. Like, he doesn't get to be with his wife when she passes away. And basically he turns to an alcoholic. But Kaysen as June and June as Kaysen, like they're
Way,
like
they are way better being the other person than they seem to be on their own.
Which I think that's what a story like this is always intended to be, is like you learn from this occurrence happening. Like June learns that, not June, but she will, like when she's being Kaysen,
June as Kaysen
learns that, like, hey, I don't need to take this shit. Like, I have basically a verbally, not necessarily, he's sort of physically abusive husband. Yeah. I have a stepson that doesn't really appreciate me. I have neighbor boys that basically just basically want to oogle me all the time, harass me. And I never defend myself. I'm always looking for someone else to do it, but no one will. And then on the other hand, Kaysen as June is like, hey, like he's kind of seeing it as I have another chance to do whatever I want. Like I get to have a new start, not have to deal with all the mafia crap, and live a life as a badass mom. So,
and yet the mob knows that their bodies got switched,
right?
Because the mob found the guy who cursed them,
right?
So, a little right on the nose, but
I hope it doesn't end soon because it feels like it could.
I'm seeing this book as maybe a 10 to 15 issue run.
Right.
Because I think once you've switched them back, you've kind of lost your crosswind. You've just kind of gotten wind.
Right.
Dumb. On the website, it does say Freaky Friday meets Goodfellas, so not off of that analogy. On Image website.
Boom.
He doesn't look like Nick Cage at all, so you guys lied to me there. But
you got to look in the book.
He looks more like Matt Smith. My number 2 is a book that came up tonight, Lazarus X+66. It'll end this year. It started this year, 6 issues, but I think it is, like I said, a nice surprise, but it's amazing how that book can take stuff that you would think I wouldn't care about, but I do, and how it takes the small slices of this world and makes it bigger for me. So now that when they show up in the main books, I'm going to be like, wow, like I know who that person is, and that it builds the world into a place where, like I said, when I'm not reading the book, it feels like they're living it. But also issue per issue, great. The whole issue, like every issue is paced in a way that I'm like, oh god, like I gotta get to the end of this issue. When it ends, I'm like, I want to know more about this story. But it's like, okay, when hopefully it comes up in the main book, so I can learn more about these people. The art's been great in every issue, I believe. I liked every single one. Eric's writing has been great. Like I thought, I believe if you go back in the show, I even said it on air. I go, Greg Rucka's not writing it though, so we'll see how that writer does. And I think he's great. I think he writes really, like you said, like he knows a lot about that world, and he writes like I couldn't even tell this not Greg Rucka.
I'd say he even has the tone of Greg Rucka. So
and it's Greg's stories, but Eric's writing the dialogue and like writing the plots, and he's plotting out this book. And I believe he's a nice successor of this book. So I do want to see if they do something else with this, like. Give Eric his own little miniseries that he could tell stories in this world. Him and Greg work on the stories, and just keep running with it. Each issue, like even the politics, but even some have been like action packed. There was that issue where there was just a whole like mostly silent issue where the 2 Lazarus went in and killed a bunch of people. Amazing that way. But even you get something like this issue where it deals about media and politics and how does media, what's their responsibility in war times? What's their responsibility in this Lazarus world? And that's even great, that aspect of it. But even like, they're looking into the story, something from the main comic that we were wondering, like now they're going to unearth the truth of what happened to Jonah. And I do believe that I don't think you could read this on its own. No, you need Lazarus. Yeah. But to have Lazarus be on a hiatus and then this book comes out and I don't feel like I want Lazarus to come back, but it's not like I like have this like, oh come on, Lazarus, just come back. For this, I'm like, okay, this is still Lazarus.
Feels like you're still in it.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's I enjoy these single issues, but I am excited for the main book.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm ready to jump back into that world.
But it's not like,
I'm I'm still getting
filler,
my fix.
like Garrett said earlier. It's not filler that we're buying time for the main story.
Yeah.
Every issue felt necessary. Every story and character felt like they were real. And like when I read it, I was like, I want to know more about these people. And every time I got to the end of the issue, I was like, that's great. Hopefully the next one's going to be good too. And I thought somewhere along the line we would have one bad one and be like, oh well, you can't have all of them be good. But every single one's been great.
Yeah.
And we have one left, and I'd like. Hopefully, they don't drop the ball in the last issue, but all
Seems
5 of these have
nearly
been great.
impossible,
Yeah, I think so too.
I think if they were to drop the ball, that would be the most unfortunate thing for the fact that we're going to learn about a character we know very little about.
Very great. I would recommend you go back and get all Lazarus and then pick up this X+66 and read that too. Get ready for that Amazon series. When that comes out, people are going to be talking about it. You want to know about this forever. Carlisle.
Nice. So we are to the number one.
Numero uno.
Pick number 1, my lord.
For me, it is Royal City. Written, drawn,
I guess that's
colored
too.
by
Both of
Jeff
you talk
Lemire.
about it. Well, I'll talk about it too, but I mean, that's not mine.
That's
Oh, it's not yours?
So it's
Not even on
mine.
your list?
Nope.
That
Oh.
surprises me.
Yeah, my number one too.
This was the. I've had that down.
best new series.
I've had that on my list since we decided when we were doing this.
When I was like, we're doing these top fives again, and okay, the first one's best new series. That's the first book I thought of.
Yep.
Like it has to be number one, and that's when I wrote my list. That's the first book I wrote down, and I put a number one next to it. I was like, nothing else is going to compare to this book.
Nope.
Yeah, and if I explain it to people, it sounds boring. If I try to be like, oh, it's just a family in a town, they're dysfunctional, they're trying to get over like their father had a stroke and they're all meeting for the first time in years, and trying to get over also their brother died when they were young.
I tell you what, you even tell me that, I'm still excited about reading it.
It goes back to when we talked about Kurt Busiek and talked about that Batman annual, those real aspects. But this is like 100% real. Like in this world where people are like, some of them are stuck in that town. One of them made it out. What's the name?
Pat.
I'm horrible with names. Pat made it out. He's coming back because his dad had a stroke, and now he's like having to relive basically his former life and what this town did to him, Royal City did to him, and what this family, they're all stuck there, and he's reliving like, oh, my brother Tommy died. He's seen Tommy as a ghost and trying to deal with that. I don't think he's ever dealt with it. And like his new book is it's using Tommy's diary, and like he has that kind of guilt being like, I'm using his story to sell my book.
Yeah.
It's not really his story to tell, is it? He's trying to figure that out too. Meanwhile, we have everybody else's rolling
Richie's
down the
got a
drink.
drinking problem.
Drinking problem. His mom is depressed as hell and cheating on her husband who's had a stroke and in the hospital.
Yep.
He's in a coma, right?
Yes.
And
then Tara, the sister, getting divorced
she just got divorced, or she just
working
announced she
on
wants to
getting
get
divorced from her husband.
and she's trying to take out
Over the factory or
No, trying to get rid of it, right? No, they're building a golf course.
yeah.
But,
That's right. She's trying to make the city better by getting rid of the factory, which got rid of her husband's job.
Which her husband has resentment of that because she's like, you're trying to get rid of my job. He's like, no, well, I'm trying to create more jobs. Like that factory's dying on its own.
Yep.
Let's just put something new in this town and revive this town. It's a dying town. Really great. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, you know what? Jeff Lemire was not necessarily a writer or an artist that has ever been on my radar. In the past year, he has really shown that he's a good writer. And honestly, I love the art in this book. It isn't an action-packed book, but he does such a good job giving you the facial expressions. The coloring is so
Coloring's
good. And just, I don't, you know what? Like you said in the Lazarus world, you feel like it lives without us reading it. That's kind of what this world feels for me, is that this world has a life of its own that I'm so excited to discover and to read. I hope this book is a long running book.
Well, even right now, we're at the spot where the town is alive because Tommy's still alive.
Nice.
Yeah, if you go back, if you read the back matter of these books, I really do feel from Jeff's words. Usually he has a new back matter, which is kind of strange, but he's a very private guy. And in the back matter, he does kind of relate every time, like it's a real personal book for him. Not that this story happened to him, but a lot of these aspects like are from his life, especially the part in school. A lot of Tommy's experiences during school, he said that a lot of them are based on his life. So I do really feel like you said, like they feel like real people. I do really feel like you're learning about Jeff's life and when he went through. And sometimes the best art that you can read or watch is basically somebody else telling you their experiences. And I think that's what this is. Even though it's not like Jeff Lemire's life, it is, colors of what happened with his life. And like, that's why these characters feel so full. It's because he's taking aspects of him growing up being like, let me try to put my experience out there, see if anybody else relates to them.
Yeah.
It's really great. And like you said about the art, there's some pages that I just like stare at. Like there's a page where Tommy is like above everybody else and he's like leaking on them, like raining on them because they were they at his funeral or what was that at?
I think it was at his funeral.
That page, just like I still think about that page, and that was like so long ago. That was like issue 2 or 3. But I still think about that page. It's really a great book, and it really, like I said, it's not going to be. If you're thinking about comics and we're thinking about like, oh, I want something like it's not a superhero book. It's nothing about an action pack, no war story, something. It's just about some people trying to make it through this thing we call life, baby.
But I think that's what actually gets me the most. I'm going to ignore your your segue. I think that's the thing that I want from a book is just a book about life.
Yeah.
And about
it's very real.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it may not be Jeff's life, but he's probably had experiences. But other people have had experiences: divorce, death, comas, what have you. That it's just nice to see.
Right.
If you there's 2 movies. If you've ever seen them, I do feel like they're nice companion pieces, and we'll give you an idea what this kind of book feels like. There's a movie called Diner, which is actually just about like people going back to the city, and Beautiful Girls. Both those movies feel a lot like this book. So
the other thing for this book is the music list.
Yeah, I love this playlist for this.
Yeah,
great.
I haven't listened to them, but
great music.
I just want to make mention to it because I know you do listen to it.
I haven't listened to it since issue 4 or 5, but what issue on?
I think we're on going to be 8 next.
8. All right.
Names and numbers, not Marvin's fan.
But yeah, they're really great music, and you kind of like can see where his head's at when he's writing the issue because he said each one is kind of made for that issue. So you can kind of see like, oh, like I think it was issue 2 I read, and then I listened to the playlist and I read again, and it does feel different listening to that soundtrack.
Yeah.
What's your number 1, Garrett? You're in the dark here.
In the dark.
Is it a DC book?
Oh, can I say before? Oh no, go ahead.
Why? Because I said it's not a DC book?
No, go ahead.
My number 1 is Generation Gone, written by Alice Cott and Andre Lima Araujo, with art by Andre Lima Araujo and Chris O'Halloran. I don't know how to say that.
That was actually going to be my guess. Would be my next guess. Is like I know you only have good things to say about this book.
That book is so incredible. The art is great. The story by Alice Cott surprisingly is great. We just found out here at the end of issue 5 that it's the end of book 1, basically. So there is going to be a sequel series to come out, which I prefer that. If I get short-winded Alice Cott, that's better than a long-winded giving me crap.
At least, if nothing else, he's ended it for the time being. For however long it takes him to get book 2 out.
But I mean, this book was so brutal in 5 issues. I was shocked. Like, I mean, it felt like it was coming out really consistently. The story flowed really well. It always picked up right where the last issue ended. And one of the best things is like with all the powers, like it's anatomically correct. Like when she's flying, her eyes water out. Probably has some neck pain when she's flying.
Which is weird.
A lot of payoff.
Yeah, I know.
Which is weird because she can fly into space.
Huh?
Which is weird because she can fly into space.
Well, yeah, she's like, her molecular biology is still immune.
But her eyes are not. They're molecularly made to.
But it's just putting like it's just putting air on your eyes. That's not causing you pain. That's not going to kill you. It's just
her
making
clothes burn off. Her face should burn off.
It's Garrett logic.
I know.
No, that's actual like your eyes would water out. You're not impervious to your eyes watering.
Generation Gone, Garrett.
Anyway,
but yeah, really great book. It's only 5 issues. The trade's probably coming out soon. Definitely recommend it. If you if you're interested in like the Fantastic Four, this is 3 people, but still, I think it's a good way to like. Because I like how DC's coming out with the Terrific soon, and this book here, it's like it's giving you your Fantastic Four fix. Because basically, Marvel's like, "F you, Fantastic Four. We're never bringing you back."
What do you mean, Marvel 2-in-1?
Yeah, Marvel 2-in-1. Never going to see him ever again. That's what's happening. So.
This is one of those books that you and I had both jumped on right away.
Yeah.
And first issue was so good.
Right.
It was big, at least double-sized issue.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a little nervous at 4 because 4 was kind of petite. Mm-hmm. No, 3 was petite.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this book is either going to take a dump. Read 4 was great, and 5 blew my mind.
Ball on top.
That he could stick with it. And so I commend you. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I very much look forward to part 2 of Generation God when it comes out, or GG2.
Yeah, of course.
I thought I just want to mention that 3 books that weren't on my list just because one of them I'm behind on, and the 2 other ones are too early for me to put them on the list. But I thought they were good contenders, so I would bring them up. Mr. Miracle I'm behind on, so I'm not sure if it's good or not. I mean, whatever, as far as
it's
good.
Good.
Batman White Knight was a contender for me, but also I think it's too early to call on that book's been 2 issues, right?
Yeah, third one comes out next week.
And then Batman Creature of the Night was a strong contender for me.
I thought about White Knight, and only premise-wise, the bad guys at the end of issue 2, awesome. But I agree. I thought I don't know where this book
potential,
is
but I
gonna
don't know.
go.
Like those 2 issues, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, those 2 issues were great. There's a lot of potential there.
Miracle Knight.
Miracle Knight.
Mr. Miracle is really good, but in all honesty, I wouldn't. It's not like Vision for me, where every issue is like, holy shit, this is the best thing I've read. I think as a whole, it's going to be really great.
Yeah.
So I commend you on those choices too. Not choosing them.
Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com, or find us on Twitter at Wednesday Comics. Where's that bell? At Wednesday Comics, or follow.
No wonder the show was so enjoyable.
I was going to mention
2188.
earlier to him that, dude, your bell's not even over here.
At Alex Mastrello on Twitter, or at Marvin_Saguero.
That's the sound of my death.
Let us know what your best new series of the years have been, or the years. I mean, just this year, 2017. And just let us know, facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. Like us on Facebook, and drop us a line there. Let us know how you're doing. Or find the video on YouTube. By the way, I didn't even mention the whole show, new angle from the video. We rearranged the studio here, so.
If you guys are sad that I'm not looking at you all the time, I understand.
By the way, it is hard looking back and forth to you guys. It's a lot of work for me. Before, I would just stare into the abyss. And I think actually I did this show too. A lot of it's in the abyss right here.
But now they're not seeing my best side. All I got is my left side. I got to see that right action.
I have to admit, I only look at it unless I'm literally going to talk to them. Half the time I look at them while you guys jabbered. But not anymore. Gotta look at you guys. And whatever's in the closet.
Alex, you haven't been that active on Twitter lately. What happened?
Some people give me crap about liking stuff.
It's kind of, would you call it blind tweeting?
So I stopped. No, because I do. I'll sit at home and I'll put together what I want to say. And say, oh, that doesn't.
I bet Marvin could put Alex Pastrana is absolute horseshit, and you would have liked and retweeted it.
Boom. No, I've gotten better about doing that too. I either choose not to do it. No, it's from Marvin. Fuck him. It's Garrett. It's some stupid Superman related. And then I'll go back in later and I'll go, oh, I read that. Okay, I'll like it. So
make sure to leave us a voicemail. Look down below for our voicemail number. I believe it's 605-215-1849. If not, that'll be...
got him to look.
That'll be...
Where am I looking?
Taken out of the show, but look down below in the notes. The number's there. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it. We'll talk about it. Remember the book club. Garrett, tell them about the book club.
We're reading The Other Side, written by Jason Aaron with art and colors by Dave Stewart. Cameron Stewart, Jay's, whatever. See, and names this late at night, I can't remember anything. We have until the 4th of January, 5th, 4th, first week of January.
It's 5th, right?
Basically.
You have until the 4th to read it. It's a good time.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else reviewing this book, but we're the first ones to announce it to the world. So,
what's the book club called?
Huh?
What's the book club called?
Wednesday Comics Leave Extraordinary Gentle People's Book Club.
So make sure to leave us emails, Twitters, Facebook messages, and voicemails about the book.
And don't forget, our designation is WCL. Blah, 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 blah.
You don't even know it all.
WednesdayComics.com for that information if you need it. Make sure to visit our sponsor, rootsoftheswampthing.com. They go there, and a lot of things happen at the Swamp Thing. You want to be in the know. Winter special coming up pretty soon. You want to get in the know about that.
And we're getting close to...
Oh, hey, the pre-orders are done for Holland Falls #2, so you pre-ordered it. Good luck. I mean, not good luck, but good for you, and you'll be receiving the issue, I'm sure, shortly. At DC World Swampy on Twitter. John Boylan's there. You can look at it there. There's a nice cover, and there's some nice information he puts out every once in a while about the book, so excited for it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll have
first issue
John on pretty soon. He'll talk about it more. By the way, if you joined us on Friday at 7 p.m., know that we announced we're going to be at Siouxpercon 2018, or Siouxpercon 3, Return of the Con, September 28th, 29th, and 30th, right?
Right.
We'll be there, and also announced that show. We are sponsoring a guest on Siouxpercon, Phil Hester. Speaking of Russo Swamp Thing artist himself, Phil Hester will be there, so we're going to bring him there.
Current Batman Beyond artist.
Current Batman Beyond artist. Garrett is excited. Woo!
Because I'm the one who gets a book out of these
We're
three
gonna.
yahoos.
Well, I'll get it too. We'll see.
You're getting it too?
Man, we'll get Phil Hester.
Hey, all right.
We're sponsoring him. He's going to be at Siouxpercon. Make sure to get your tickets for Siouxpercon and show up there. We'll talk comics. You want to talk comics?
You want to talk comics?
You want to talk? I'll talk podcasts too. You want to talk about how to start a podcast? I'll let you know all the information. I want to talk about YouTube. I'll talk about YouTube. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Also, by the way, like you could always find us on social media and send us a line. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about you. I mean, we'll talk to you. Geez, you're right. It is late.
We'll talk about you.
By the way, this light situation is really hot. So
It's called dyslexia after midnight. Holy crap! I stopped him. It was just a joke, Marvin. It's okay. Keep
I
going.
think the heat's getting to him.
So Siouxpercon 2018, Return of the Con, Siouxpercon 3, 28th, 29th, and 30th of September. And keep your eye on Siouxpercon. Find them on Twitter or their Facebook page for more information, more announcements throughout the year until we get there. Next week, like I said, new top 5 list. Best writer and best artist of 2017. We'll tell you about those. If you want to get ahead of the game and send us an email or voicemail about what you think is the best writer or best artist, let us know.
Is it best creative team? Is that what?
No, separate.
Oh, there's two
top
lists.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let us know. Drop us a line. Like I said, information down below how to contact us. I'll include it in the show. We'll talk about it. Until next time, I'm Marvin.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Garrett.
Into the abyss I look.
Hey, everyone. Keep turning those pages.